Radyo-Katipunan, 87.9 FM. Tara na't simulan ng inyong umaga sa mga magagandang refleksyon tungkol sa ating buhay at pananampalataya. Kasama sina Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle ng Manila, Father J. Boy Gonzales at Father Nono Alfonso ng Kapisanan ni Jesus, Father Cali Llamado ng Manila Cathedral, at Binibining Risa Singson Kaupeng ng Light of Jesus Community dito sa Kapit Pandasal sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. The Jesuit Hour. Get to know the Jesuits. Discover their spirituality, their history, their ministries. The Jesuit Hour. Anything Jesuit, everything Jesuit. The Jesuit Hour.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ear.
Do you long for a good spiritual read? Or for literature that not only feeds the mind, but nourishes the soul as well? Do you want to be inspired, feel positive and hopeful about life? Then read The Windhover, the official magazine of the Jesuits in the Philippines. Written by Jesuits and their lay partners, The Windhover features real stories about the Jesuits and their various ministries. Be inspired. Be blessed. Subscribe to The Windhover. For inquiries, call the Philippine Jesuit Aid Association at telephone numbers 426-6001, locals 4890 or 4892. Once again, Philippine Jesuit Aid Association, telephone numbers 426-6001, locals 4890 or 4892.
Kaibigan, alam mo na ba kung anong dapat gawin upang iwasan at sugpuin ang COVID-19? Iwasang hawakan ng bibig, mata at ilong. Laging maghugas ng kamay gamit ang sabon at tubig sa loob ng 20 segundo. Linisin ang mga bagay na palaging hinahawakan. Kumain ng balanse at masusustansyang pagkain. Matulog ng sapat, huwag magpupuyat. Stay home. Sa wastong pag-iingat, ang virus hindi kakalat. COVID-19, kayang-kaya nating tapusin.
We are now on YouTube. Watch all of our live episodes plus exclusive content in our channel at Radyo Katipunan FM. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell to get the latest updates. Radyo Katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo Katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.
Life in all caps. Ito po si Rene sumusuporta sa ating minamahal na multi-awarded multimedia guru Noel Ferrer sa kanyang pag-level up. Kaya Ateneo, level up! Level up!
Happy victorious 3rd anniversary Radyo Katipunan, and congratulations to my very good friend Noel Ferrer of Level Up for all awards you have been receiving. It's such a great honor and privilege na mag-guest po sa inyong show last year. It was so much fun doing that interview considering that I was still grieving the loss of my mom and my beloved sister. It's really nice to talk to my good friend, kapatid na Noel. It's always a pleasure. Please take care of yourself and stay safe and healthy. Sa kahit na ano pong gagawin natin, kailangan po tayong mag-level up. Again, thank you very much. Thank you for your service and God bless you more and more.
Happy 3rd anniversary sa Radyo Katipunan at syempre, congratulations din kay Sir Noel ng Level Up. Thank you for always sharing the message of hope, during these uncertain times. And I pray that you will always be a source of inspiration for your community. Once again, congratulations and happy 3rd anniversary.
Voice of the Blue Eagle, Radyo Katipunan 87.9.
Hello, ako po si Joey De Leon at ako po ay bumabati sa Radyo Katipunan sa kanilang anibersaryo. Kung nabubuhay lang si Bonifacio, tiyak sasabihin niya, "So good, mga kapatid. So good," lalo na ang palatuntunan ni Noel na level up. In English, level up. In Tagalog, kataas-taasang Radyo Katipunan. Congratulations, tandaan nyo, ang Radyo Katipunan, lalo na ang level up ni Noel. So good, mga kapatid.
The Voice of the Blue Eagle, Radyo Katipunan 87.9.
Sa Radyo Katipunan, happy 3rd anniversary po sa inyo. Thank you for connecting us with one another during these difficult times. At pati kay Sir Noel ng Level Up, congratulations din po sa inyo. Thank you for bringing to us stories of inspiration and stories of excellence. Ako po si Vico Soto na nagsasabing basta't sama-sama tayo, patuloy na umaagos ang pag-asa at patuloy tayong mag-level up.
The Voice of the Blue Eagle, Radyo Katipunan 87.9.
Congratulations for the 3rd year anniversary of Level Up, and congratulations, Noel, for all the awards and recognition you've been receiving for you and your program. And syempre, I'd like to thank you and to congratulate you for having the virtue of always speaking the truth and always standing for what is right and what is good. So again, congratulations at sana matagal na matagal pang yung programa at ang iyong kontribusyon sa ating industriya. Again, congratulations!
Hi, Noel, my friend. Congratulations on the success of your online show, Level Up. 3 years old na and it continues to reap awards. So, friend, continue to serve our people, our industry, and our country. And bilang kaibigan, kung may maitutulong ako, friend, I will always be here, okay? Just a text away. So, please keep up the excellent work. Pareho tayo ng advokasya pagdating sa bakuna. Meron lamang kung gustong ibigay na mensahe para sa ating mga kababayan. Okay? Mga kababayan, magpabakuna na po tayong lahat. Ang vaccine po ay para po sa ating kaligtasan at hindi po ito dapat katakutan. Ililigtas po tayo nito sa pandemyang COVID-19. Kaya huwag na po tayong mag-atubili na magpabakuna. Do it for yourself, for your family, for your community, and for our country. Kaya magparehistro na po kayo at siguraduhin po na magpabakuna. Malalagpasan din po natin ang pagsubok na ito. This is Congresswoman Ate V, and may God bless us all. Salamat po.
Radyo Katipunan, News, Insights, Inspiration. Radyo Katipunan, down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo Katipunan, the voice of the Blue Eagle.
Jescom Music Ministry, your daily dose of inspiration. Follow jescom.ph on Spotify and Jescom Music on YouTube. We are also on iTunes and Deezer.
Palalimin ang kamalayan sa mga isyong napapanahon. Makisangkot at makiisa kasama ang simbahang lingkod ng bayan. Ang Social-Political Apostolate ng Kapisanan ni Jesus. Ito ang Kwentuhang Bayan mula alas 11 ng umaga tuwing Biyernes dito lang sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM. Dahil naniniwala kami na posible ang isang mas mabuting lipunan at maaari itong simulan sa isang kwentuhan.
Get your daily dose of inspiration through our music. Follow jescom.ph on Spotify and Jescom Music in YouTube.
Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay Atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugo, todo sa kayod, punong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing hiding at tigil, blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan.
All caps, mga Atenista! It's time to level up! Your top variety program showcasing the best in media and other fields. As we feature the most loved personalities and the best practices of what we truly refer to as Magis. Together with multi-awarded multimedia guru Mr. Noel Ferrer, let's all level up every Fridays from 3 to 6 p.m. here on Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
All good, all ready, all the best. While we're still within the 10 days of national mourning, today marks the 9th day in novena since our former president, Benigno Simeon Aquino III, left us. We, especially at the Ateneo, his home, will continue to honor him and his legacy, if only to inspire and challenge and keep alive his memory. Today, we've gathered young and not so young, but very, very dynamic individuals who has dealt with and experienced PNoy up close and personal. So first up, unahin daw natin yung mga bata. So PNoy and the millennials. And we're here to challenge everyone to get into what they went through. No? So we have the speechwriters, sabi nila na trabaho ng 20 to 29 years old. So yung mga bagong graduate, at well, tingnan natin, freshman naman silang tingnan dito. So they're PNoy speechwriters and the graphic designer who work under the Presidential Communications Development and Strategic Planning Office. So let's start with the graphic designer, si Smile Indias. Smile, who's from also the Fine Arts Department of the Ateneo. Kumusta? So break nyo na ngayon?
Opo, kakasimula pa lang po ng intersession pero wala pa akong klase. Ako po si Smiley Indias. Hello. Proud to be part of the younger part. Well, daming disclaimer.
Pero yun, Smile, you saw the campus in the opening billboard, but then it was a different context that you saw the campus last week. So has it sunk in? Nag-sink in na ba sa'yo na, iba yung dahilan bakit tayo bumalik ng Ateneo last week?
So totoo po parang hindi na oo. Diba parang ang daming mga naging inuman after to talk about it. Pero nakakalula pa rin yung sense of finality na wala ka nang pupuntahang Christmas party na makikita mo si Sir doon. Parang I guess doon nanggagaling yung lungkot na, kasi parang di naman po nagkikita lahat, diba? Pero may umaasa ka na after ng lahat ng to, pwede pang magkita-kita.
Correct.
Tas wala na yun. So yun po.
At yung napapasubok kang kumanta, no? Napipilitan kayong pakantahin. Anyway, ito yung sinabi ni si Julia Abad, na dapat kasama natin ngayon. Pero yun nga, lumipad. Pero sabi niya, in the next parang memorial or testimonial na pwede kay PNoy. At sana ito pa rin natin na ipagpatuloy yon. Si Tina Del Rosario. Tina, maraming salamat kahit galing kang Parañaque. Online naman to. Nasamahan mo kami. Tina, magandang hapon.
Hi, sir. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon po. Thank you po for having us.
Salamat,
today.
salamat. You haven't been very visible in media, no? So, si Ali palagi nakikita namin sa media, pero yun na nga parang thank you. Kumusta? Has it sunk in?
Hindi pa din. Hindi pa din. Ay, hindi po ako nakapunta sa week. I think last week I had to work. But, so as a compromise, nag-abang na lang kami sa labas ng Manila Memorial. Kasi kahit hanggang doon malungkot pa din. So, hindi pa din talaga nag-isipin.
And ano yung effect, Tina, sa iyo?
I think, parang po lang sinabi ni Smel, ina-expect mo naman lagi na nandun pa din si Sir. Yung makikita mo siya sa kampanya or yung mga private gatherings. And then, I would say very consistent po na person si Sir throughout his life, even after the term. Tuwing nami-meet namin siya, same pa rin siya. So, hindi ko pa din I don't know how to express it properly, but it feels very strange to know that he's gone.
Yeah. Parang the stages of grief din, di ba? Parang dadaanan din natin. May denial stage pa nga yan.
Nasa denial pa.
Nandun ka pa. Well, someone who has like expressed it publicly, and I think that's his way of coping for the past days. And it seems like he's like heard us to, well, a different dimension. No? Good. Thank you, Ali, for like processing it with the public. Thank you for the podcast that you had, the reunion. Pero sana yung mga reunions natin, di ba, sa edad ninyo, 21 to 29, supposedly, kasal binyag pa lang, di ba? Pero ngayon, kakaiba. Ali Sanggalang from Ateneo. Ulit pala, Tina, your what batch and what course?
Creative Writing po, 2011. Graduated in 2011.
So, Creative Writing, 2011. Yeah, Ali, go.
Yes, hello. Ako po si Ali, isa sa Speechwriters. At ayun, hello po sa lahat.
Magandang hapon. Sabi mo, IS?
IS po. Creative Writing and Communication.
Yan. Kasi yun nga parang at least yun, yung IS is the hybrid na course sa Ateneo. First up, I ask you this, Annie, all in private and Smile too. Did you ever think that Ateneo will prepare you to this kind of job? Kasi nga parang napadpad kayo dyan. Siguro ang pinakamaganda lang yung ano natin pag naghanap ng trabaho, you should have a boss that will be an extension of your values. Di ba? Ganoon, or may madadagdag siya sa inyo. What was the major consideration, Smile, when you finally said, "Oh, I'll do work with the management, the president's team"?
Sa 21 po ako nung pumasok ako ng PCD-SPO. Tapos nag-work po ako nun before theater yung ginagawa ko. Tapos actually, nakikita ko lang sa Facebook na yung mga friends ko, dami po kasi nila na nandun na sa PCD-SPO. Tapos sobrang mababaw talaga yung initial kong curiosity. Tapos nakita ko silang naka-Filipiniana pag Sona. Tapos ako, parang cool yung job na yun, nag-Filipiniana sila. So nung nakita ko po na may job opening sa PCD-SPO, nag-random send lang po ako ng CV ko. Tapos, nung nakapasok na po, hindi pala to everyday naka-Filipiniana. Tapos ang hirap pala dito. Pero, parang nakita mo kasi yung dedication ng mga tao. So I think, after po nung persona ko na parang rebirth talaga yung buong eksenang yun. Ako, okay, maybe I'll stick it out until 2016.
Ang galing. Because Ali, I just saw the post. Posted something na yung eksena nyo before Sona, no? Kala nila glamorous pero nandun kayo natutulog sa opisina, parang ganon. So, Ali, how was it? Like, yours was different also, no? It wasn't anything you planned. So, you were in what job? This was, you said, your first regular job. So, what was your job before this?
I was 23 nung pumasok ako prior to government. Sensya na sa bumubusi ng basura. 23 ako noon, advertising yung job ko. So, copywriter. So, nagkataon naman na naghahanap ng writers nung time na yon. Specifically Filipino writers.
Yes.
So, nagulat din ako sa opportunity na to kasi nung panahon na yon, ang bata pa nga, tapos hinahanap mo pa yung sarili mo rin. Hinahanap mo pa yung career path mo. Nung panahon na yun, naalala ko, hindi ko pa nga matawag yung sarili ko talagang writer. Dahil kailangan ko pang patunayan yun. Pero nabigyan ng opportunity at saka, ayun, tuwang-tuwa ako sa naging decision ko na yun. Na kahit na mahirap, ano.
And with what we went through in Ateneo, no? Parang with all our oral exams and all our philo and theology, both in English and Filipino, parang, somehow it led you to somewhere. And you said PNoy was exceptional because he was there to promote not only yung galing sa speech, sa pagsasalita, pero yung Filipino as a language. So, yun naman yung parang nahasa ka rin, parang ka nag-oral exams din doon.
Yes. Oo, nagulat din ako na yung extent din talaga ng pagpapahalaga niya sa Filipino language. Kahit na nasa ibang bansa kami, lalo kapag humaharap kami sa Filipino community. Gusto niya talaga, yun yung isa sa mga pinaka-inaabangan niya kapag may foreign trip, yung meeting with the Filipino community. Dahil gusto niya talagang kausapin yung mga kababayan natin sa language natin, sa wika natin. Tapos makikita mo sa mga muka ng mga kausap niya kung gaano sila natutuwa na may kausap ulit silang kababayan.
I'll go to that language thing later kasi may nuances yung language. And sasabi nila, pero ang language ni PNoy, well, as shown by us or you there, medyo may elegansya. But the language kasi now is different. It's gut, no? Parang kakaiba. So, tignan natin na ano pa yung ibang natutunan natin sa prosesong yun. Tina, ikaw naman, did you really want the job?
I guess parang smile ako. Mas mababaw yung dahilan ko dati. When I first heard that the Speechwriters were looking for an EA, naisip ko, okay, why not? Parang chance to learn about public policy. Wala naman akong kaalam-alam sa public policy. So, naisip ko lang, interesting siya. Tapos medyo kilala ko na rin po yung buong group kasi. We were all writers in the literary circles together in some way. So, parang among friends din ang pinaisip.
That's something to learn, no? When you get into a job also, importante yung community, no? As the shared values of a community. Kasi yan yung support group nyo. Of course, we've learned about you on the daily grind in your work. Let's go through the emotions. Can you say, Smile, what was your happiest moment in your job?
Naku, madami po. Sa totoo lang yung book. Mahirap siya na work, pero yung PCDSPO po kasi para siyang malaking barkada. Parang kahit sang unit ka mapapunta, mayroon kang fond memory with these people kasi nakita ka na nila at your pinakadugyot. Diba? Tapos, kasama mo rin sila doon sa pinakamasaya. So, naramdam niya talaga yung highs and lows. Pero siguro po kung merong iconic talaga sa akin, yung feeling na after every sauna, pag nairaos mo yon nang wala kang glitch, kapag, di ba, parang natapos yun ng walang aberya, grabe, yung buntong hininga mo after, para siyang major milestone of the year. Parang ganun po. So siguro, tas parang nakikita mo yung mga boss na yun yung, di ba, dugot pawis nila yun. Nakita mo rin yung mga kasama mong staff, dugot pawis din nila yun. This is yung major group project nung some of the people that you admire the most. Tapos pag natapos siya, grabe yung sense of fulfillment. So siguro po yun yung iconic na every year you dread but also get excited about.
So, how was PNoy then with that sauna preparation? So let's connect it with his legacy. No? So you said it's a high point in your serving government and serving him. Was he a boss that would give compliments or congratulate you? Or batipid siya doon, ang gagawin niya magpapakain na lang, gano'n?
Tumawa lang.
Okay.
Yes, gano'n. Parang iba yung love language ni Sir eh.
Okay.
Pero dahil sa pagiging gano'n niya, alam na alam ng team to na dahil matipid siya doon, kapag nakakuha ka nun, gusto mo itago at isama sa pagtulog mo, no? So yung maliit na good job na yan na napakailap ay mahalagang-mahalaga. And parang hindi sa salita niya napapa-feel. Yung confidence na binibigay niya sa'yo na may susunod ka pang speech, ganyan. Yeah. Gagalingan mo ulit doon ay indication yun na parang nako-communicate na sa amin at napaparamdam niya na proud siya sa work.
No, kung isang learning doon, intindihin mo kung paano yung yung encouragement ng isang boss, no? So it's really not all words kasi may iba yung mga salita hungkag, no? Parang walang halo yung meaning, no? Pero ito yung taong pag sinabing good job, he means it. At kung sa publiko naman sinasabi niya na hindi kayo nagkaintindihan, he means it also. So yun, it's a high point. Sona has been a high point. Tina, what was your high point in serving in government or in that department?
I think na naikwento rin to ni Kael, yung boss po namin at one point, but for me the most I guess the most emotional, the most proud I ever felt was during the signing of the Bangsamoro peace process in Malacanang, and syempre saling kit-kit lang kami doon. So I think mga lima kaming pumunta ng palasyo kahit hindi dapat. Tapos doon lang kami sa gilid. And then when you saw them, they were crying in MILF, niiyak sila. Tapos sumisigaw sila ng Allahu Akbar during the speech.
Galing.
Grabe yung naramdaman ko. Naiyak ko na.
Those are the moments na ang hirap i-quantify. So yun nga, pero may lifestyle challenge sa inyo. So, dahil doon sa ganung moment, yun yung mahirap, no? Pag aware ka, pag mulat ka, may balik sa'yo. Hindi ka pwedeng maging passive lang. So, ano sa'yo nun?
I think I still struggle with it to this day. I worked in DOF for a while in 2019. And yung isa sa mga iniisip ko na is, do I want to? But then I thought, naniniwala naman ako din sa ibang department sinusulong ko. So I said, okay, it's still a chance to have.
Pero ang hirap, no?
Mahirap talaga.
Mahirap talaga. Ali, ikaw, talk about your, yung pinakamay tama sa yung moment and until now, dala-dala mo. Kasi may mga boss na ganyan, no? Yung tipong wala na sila, pero yun, pa yung live by kung ano yung natutunan mo doon.
Ako siguro, bukod sa mga nabanggit ni Tina at ni Smile, yung sa SONA, lalo yung huling-huling SONA, na alam namin na ito na yung huling report card at ito na yung culmination ng lahat ng nagawa. Wala nang susunod. Bukod doon, siguro may mas personal lang na nakwento ko na rin to, na post ko to, na natutuwa lang din ako kay Sir na na-express niya rin yung support niya sa mga staff niya even outside the government. So yung ginulat niya ako na bumisita siya doon sa isa sa store ko, sa kiosk namin sa Trinoma, na medyo nagpanic nga rin ako dahil sinabihan lang ako na dadaan daw siya. So tumakbo talaga ako doon. Sabi ko nga doon, hindi ko pa nasuot yung t-shirt namin. Ibang brand yung nasuot ko. So sobrang
That was in PNoy already, no?
Oh, yes sir. Tapos na po. Ano yan Ano ba yun? Nakalimutan ko.
Wala ng protocols at least, no? Kung hindi, ang dami-daming pagdadaanan pa. And you know that. No? So, pero yon, since, I just want to listen to you and then steer the discussion kung saan tayo nagtapos. So, pero ako, since yung last report card yung sinasabi mo, Ali, bakit ba at that point, people were not getting it? You may have did a very good report card, but media was not kind to him. Did you feel that, Ali?
Yes. Okay. Naramdaman ko at tingin ko naramdaman namin.
Oo.
And ang hirap kasi, siguro,
nakakaiyak. Actually, gusto kong marinig talaga sa inyo because I felt that. Yung tanimbala lang. Parang ang harsh ng mga tao dati, no? Pero ang dali naman gawa ng paraan. If we were kinder, if media were kinder, or people were kinder at that point.
Hindi kasi rin yung mga tinulak rin ni Sir, I think, ay hindi niya batayan yung sisikat ba ako dito or ano ba siya. Ito ba yung pinakapag-uusapan ng mga dyaryo, ng mga shows. Pero ang tutok niya talaga kung ano ba yung balik nito. Ano yung balik nito sa mga taong
in the long run, no? Yeah.
Oo, so kahit yung hindi mga pang-headline, pinipili niyang gawin dahil tingin niya yun yung tamang gawin. So parang yun, bittersweet na Pero kami siguro tinitignan namin as mas mahalaga na nagawa niya yun at nagawa ng administration. Kahit pa, hindi tingin namin umaabot sa lahat ng tao. Pero kung umabot siya doon sa tao na pinaka may kailangan nun, I think yun yung pinakamahalaga.
O salamat sa pag-uulit nyo ng ganyang storya. Kasi sa pag-uulit niyan, parang at least na pag-iisip yung mga tao, o nga at least ginawa. So Smile, let's go to that emotion. That's parang a sad part. Well, that was one of my saddest part. Ang sinabi nga ni Ali yung last report card, and people could have been like kinder. Ikaw, saan mo naramdaman yung lungkot? Yung nung umalis ba kayo ng Malacanang, malungkot ka nun? Or sabi mo, liberation mo na yun?
Ay, hello po sabi ng mga motorista ng Katipunan.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess bittersweet po, no? I mean, tinuruan din naman kami ng mga boss namin na to hope for the best for the successor of the task.
Yes. At tinapos niyo yung trabaho, di ba? Parang hindi katulad nung iba na talagang wala na lang sa States, di ba? Hindi na nga nag-attend ng turnover, no? Pero ito tinapos nyo, turn over nyo ng maayos, and what was that feeling?
Totoo po awkward, 'di ba? Parang pag nakakasabay niyo silang kumain dun sa very dugyot din namin cafeteria sa baba ng palasyo ng new executive building, yung transition team. 'Di ba? Pero ibibigay niyo yung hihingin nila kasi 'di ba? Malinaw naman na kailangang magawa yung trabaho at kailangan siyang mapasa kahit na 'di ba bittersweet yung 2016. Pero malungkot po talaga 'yun, 'di ba? Parang pag binabalikan ko yung youth ko, parang madilim talaga yung part na yun na hanggang ngayon naghihiling pa rin from it. Wow, okay.
At youth talaga yung sinabi mo, no? Talaga.
9 p.m. session po siguro yung mga totoo kong hugot. Just about that time. Pero malungkot talaga siya. Pero alam mo lang na kailangang ipasa na, di ba? Parang someone else. And then you hope that they'll give their 300%, like in the same manner that was expected of everyone who was part of PNoy's admin.
Ang galing, ang galing. But I'll pursue that lang. Pero saan nagkaroon ng disconnect? Why didn't your message, for example, your group, saan parang nagkaroon ng, parang hindi kumo-connect dun sa mga, parang hindi tumatalab sa mga tao? Did you feel that? Did you have indicators?
I think yes, and I think there were some points then that kami as staff or yung mga boss po namin tried to dissuade si Sir from saying certain things. So yung laging bati ko sa kanya na lagi siyang bumabalik dun sa previous admin, things like that, like very small practical things that could have changed his rhetoric or how he approached things. Pero I mean, as I said, consistency, Sir. He really believed that if you don't remember the mistakes of the past, then you do it. Kaya niya laging inuulit-ulit na parang iba talaga kami.
Your best weapon is a good work, no? It's goodwill and good work, not yung sasagutin. But since you were the young people there, hindi ba may expectation sa inyo na kayo yung nasa ground? Kayo yung magbibigay sa kanya ng update kung ano man yung nararamdaman ng mga bata? Sorry I have to ask those questions. And then, ito pa, challenge din. Ano yung feeling nyo na mismong, hindi nyo siguro kabatch, no? Mismong kasama natin sa Ateneo, nandun sa kabilang kampo. Sila yung nag-organize ng troll farms. Yun na, parang kailangan natin pag-usapan kasi hindi to pinag-uusapan pero parang parang yung talino, yung husay nagagamit din sa ibang paraan. So, what was the whole feeling and how do you deal with that?
Ako siguro, lalo na yung mga unang taon siguro, yung nararamdaman ba namin na may tinayo kang bahay na marami pang problema yung bahay pero at least nakatayo na siya. No? And may pakiramdam lang na parang bumabalik sa dati yung kondisyon ng tinayo mo. Hindi ko sinasabing parang nasusunog siya at natutupok na. Pero nasabi ko na
at naramdaman mo yon, Ali, no? Naramdaman mo yon habang nandun sa loob ng bahay na yon.
Naramdaman, pero ganun nag-work. I mean, hindi, turo rin sa amin ni Sir na hindi kami forever nandyan.
Ganda naman,
may limit. Binibilang niya yung araw kung hanggang kailan na lang kami doon. At hindi namin nararamdaman na ginugroom niya kami to stay there and parang magpakaano kayo dyan, kumamal kayo ng kapangyarihan dyan. Walang ganun Parang basta kami tutok sa trabaho hanggang ganito yung trabaho namin. may magtutuloy nito. And siguro yun, nagtiwala kasi talaga si Sir sa tao, hindi lang sa amin. Nagtitiwala siya na yung mga Pilipino pipili ng tama at saka may magpapatuloy na hindi kailangang siya or kami. So bahagi talaga yun and yan ang pinili ng mga Pilipino and kailangan nating
pangatawanan. Parang ganun.
Kailangan natin tanggapin. And siguro yung may mga kapwa Atenista na nasa kabilang o na nasa administrasyon yun. Si Sir din siguro magsasabi na parte yun. Ganun nag-work in democracy and ganun nag-work. And yun, siguro wala rin sa eskwela siguro. Parang kung nasan ka mang eskwela, kung ano yung values and principles mo, yun pa rin yung mangingibabaw dapat.
Galing, no? So, well, Smile, of course, you're still in campus now and well, we're really very polarized. Napakahati natin bilang society. Pero ang maganda lang, well, dahil sa pagkamatay lang ni PNoy, yun, parang na-highlight yun sa mga kabataan na, batch nyo na kayo na yung magpapatuloy nito. How do you say that to your students, Smile?
Siguro po kakatuloy rin ng tanong kanina, no? Siyempre ginagamit kong case study sa mga design classes, yung mga design output, 'di ba, na what works, what doesn't, 'di ba? What was the thought process behind all of these things? So gumagamit ako ng mga case studies from siyempre yung ginawa ng team namin dati na puro ID majors din naman yun for the most part. Tapos, di ba, pag-uusapan namin ba't hindi nag-work yung mga current na nilalabas. And not to diss them, but really take it as a learning experience, di ba? That this is what it's like to communicate, di ba, matters, information that can dictate life or death. Di ba? Lalo na for, yun po kasi yung bulk ng tinatrabaho namin sa official gazette dati, di ba? You translate the policy to make sure that people understand it visually. Kasi ito yung mga dapat nilang alam dahil binayaran nila ito ng tax.
That's true. Pero now,
so, ganun siya rename sa app.
Pero ngayon, parang naging kalakaran yung guluhin yung mga tao, bahala ng interpretation, di ba? Is that my Parang ngayon, parang kanya-kanyang interpretasyon kung ano man yung sabihin. Tapos doon, bahala kayo mag-discuss. Tapos pag nagkakagulo kayo, sasabihin, hindi naman yan yung ibig sabihin. So, Tina, how was the communication process then? Kung merong gustong ipasulat sa'yo si PNoy, kanino nang gagaling para rin walang loss in translation?
Para sa SWG po, very straightforward naman yung process. So, I mean, on the one hand, your job as a speechwriter is to know your principal and how he speaks and how he thinks about things. So, yung okay din po sa trabaho namin is, actually, lagi po kami may access kay Sir. So, kahit nakaupo ka lang sa mga meeting, napapakinggan mo siya, you already know how his mind works and what he is likely to say and what likely not to say. Pero, from a practical perspective, laging may input si Sir. Lagi kami nakakapaghingi ng input sa kanya to add a unique spin to his speeches. Or if not si Sir, then through our other bosses, si Mr. Manolo.
But particularly kay PNoy, I want to pin that down. Ano yung mga natututunan nyo when he revises or goes through your speeches?
Paano ba? He is a very thorough person. He knows exactly what he wants to say and
stats and all, no?
Stats and all. And my quiz pa yun usually kasi he expects you also to know the subject matter very well. Kasi naalala ko lang one time, tinanong pa niya ako about yung mga foreign ownership limits sa Constitution kasi kailangan alam yun. And I guess the other thing about him is buong kwento, yung gusto niyang bahagi. So, a speech about investment or business, he always puts the conditional cash transfer program in. Kasi for him, good business is not just about the infrastructure or the bureaucracy, fixing the bureaucracy. It's also about investing in the people. So,
galing. So parang buo yung context para hindi na quote out of context or walang ibang levels of meaning. Pero yun, wasn't it boring at a certain point? Yung tipong people may not appreciate it because ngayon sanay na sanay tayo dun sa Okay, ano ba yun? Major points lang, ano yung bullet points. Tapos pagmumura. Parang ano yun yung ano ngayon, kalakaran ngayon. Sa kanya, it was like, well, our Ateneo lectures probably, na kung minsan, yung mga tao nag-tune out na lang. So, what do you think?
Pwede ba ako doon?
Yeah, go, Ali. Go.
Minsan kasi yung pinaka totoo at saka pinaka mabuti yung pinaka boring.
Ganda.
Hindi laging exciting ang mga magagandang yung mga pinaka totoo, no? And siguro kami proud kami na hindi kami nandoon para pabanguhin yung trabaho kasi yung nagagawa. Nandun kami para i-communicate yung nagagawa. And ang natututuhan namin kay Sir ay hindi pwedeng puro palabok. Hindi pwedeng puro flowery words. Kailangan backed up lagi yan ng briefing kit. Saan ang gagaling yan? Ito nga, may inalungkat akong speech na Tina. Sa community ito sa France.
Yung may comments pa ni Sir.
May comment pa ni Sir na nakalagay, result. So parang
results talaga.
Oo, parang nagkwento ako dito pero gusto niyang i-ano mo. Ilatag mo kung ano yung numbers na nagawa natin dyan. Hindi pwedeng kwento lang yan.
That's true. Hindi pwedeng philo, theo, oral sa pwede kang magbali-baliktad ng mga salita, no? Parang
alam niya yan alam niya.
Yeah, kasi pinagdaanan niya. So, but you said a good story there, Ali, na tipong kailangan mo mag-revise at sinabi mo rin na kailangan sanay sa biyahilo yung mga tao at nagre-revise kayo saan man, plane or sasakyan. And in the end, kailangan, yung kunyari, pagkatapos na mag-yosi, tapos na kayo. So, how did you deliver?
Wala
with great difficulties.
Yeah. Sabi ni Kael, yung isang writer, parang head writer din namin. Sabi niya, trabaho ng Makata hindi maubusan ng salita. So trabaho namin ay magsulat. Kapag binigyan ka ng ilang minuto lang to finish, kailangan mo siyang tapusin. Trabaho mo 'yon. So kami kahit nasaan, kahit nasa helicopter ka, kahit na nasa kami, ang pinakamahirap talaga yung sa akin yung araw ng kagitingan. Lagi umaakyat ng samal. Okay. Nandun yung yung dambana ng kagitingan. And yung sinasakyan namin doon after mag-helicopter, I think magva-van na paakyat. So talagang doon kumakapit na ako talaga na masusuka ka na. Pero ang natutuhan ko doon, wag kumain bago pumunta doon para wala ako isuka. So, tapos ayun, parang memorize na namin na mag-edit na hawak yung laptop ng pagganito. Isang kamay lang ang pagta-type kasi hindi mo alam kung kailan siya magpapa-edit.
Okay. Smile, ikaw naman. Memorable experiences dun sa ganong klaseng trabaho.
Hindi ko po talaga ito makakalimutan hanggang tumanda ako Pero may isang speech po siya para sa League of Municipalities. Na meron talaga siyang 3 specific na videos na hinahanap. Tapos spoken in different languages. At hindi namin talaga alam kung ano yung videos na hinahanap niya. Basta alam niya yung itsura ng mama na nagsasalita. Tapos, ang ginawa po namin nun, kasama ng PMS, nag-prepare kami ng 12 na videos. Lahat yun may subtitles. No? So, pinatranslate pa lahat yun. Kinarga na lahat yung subtitles. Tapos, nung pinakita po sa office niya, parang 2 lang yung tama. Yung isa hindi pa namin mahanap. Tapos, basically, kailangan na po namin pumunta dun sa venue kung saan yung speech at hindi pa nga na namin nahahanap yung huling video na gusto talaga niya. So, dinaanan po namin lahat ng videos na meron sa file. Tapos, siguro ito na yun, bahala na. So, namili kami ng isa. Tapos, naglalagay po kami ng teammate kung si Sandy ng subtitle sa isang video na hindi namin naiintindihan habang nakasakay sa convoy na sobrang bilis. Susuka ka na, pero wala kang choice. Tapos, nag-transcribe, nagkagay kami ng subtitle sa video. Hindi na nga po namin na-export yung video Diretso from Premiere. Karga sa slides kasi mag-on deck na si Sir. Tapos, nung na-play na po yung video, dapat nandun ka na sa may pinto kasi may iwan ka na naman ng convoy. Tumigil siya sa harap namin ni Sandy. Tapos tinignan lang niya kami from head to toe. Tapos sabi niya, good job Tapos umiyak kami. Natunaw kami ni Sandy, Sir. Tapos sa sahig. So parang shocks, okay. It happened.
Mahal niyo talaga yung pag-good job niya. Kasi bihira.
Okay.
Kasi bihira. So, well, at least he means it, no? Yun. Pero pag...
Sir Noel, may naalala lang ako isang mabilis. Kasi may isang SONA na yung writers, nagkahiwalay kami ng convoy. No, nasa yung isa nandun sa kabila, may dalawang nandun sa kabila. Tapos papunta na kami ng Batasan. Tapos may pina-edit pa. Nag-edit kami sa sasakyan naman na mabilis. Tapos parehong may ginagawa yung dalawang writer. Walang connection wala naman pang wala kaming wifi router noon. Ang ginagamit namin, phone. So ang ginawa namin, tinawagan namin yung isa naming kasamahang writer na i-on yung wifi niya. Nandun siya sa kabilang sasakyan. In-on niya yung wifi niya, tapos sinabi namin sa driver, kuya, dikitan mo yung isang sasakyan na yon para magkaroon ng signal, para lang magkaroon ng connection yung laptop. Ma-send namin yung speech. So marami kaming ganung kwento.
Umabot naman.
Umabot naman.
Ibang klase kasi kung hindi.
sayang effort.
Oo nga. But for a big speech like that sa SONA, di ba parang you give it out to the newspaper people? Nagre-revise ang last minute? Di ba nire-rehearse pa yan? Meron pa rin.
Meron pa rin, kaya po tinatranscribe pa rin. Kasi kahit na-deliver na ni Sir, minsan meron siyang ina-adlib.
Oh, well.
So may version talaga na latest.
Pati yung slides po may isang taon na nagpa-revise pa sila like 5 minutes before. So nagawa po namin yung revisions, tapos doon natapos yung mga kababayan ng Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas. Tapos kabit ng slides. Tapos yung parang susuka ka rin sa kaba kahit nakaupo ka lang naman.
Ang galing. Pero ni minsan hindi kayo nagsinungaling. Never sa ire-report. Yun yung parang meron ba kayong sinusulat na tipong oops, hindi to totoo, pero kailangan nyo isulat? Walang ganon.
Kapag gano'n nga sir, ako nga, naisip ko dyan, since ang babata pa namin, wala namang kaming ibang interest dyan kundi magtrabaho lang. Ang interest lang talaga namin, sa totoo lang, may kwento sa mga magulang namin na nagtatrabaho kami na maayos dyan at makwento nila sa mga kapitbahay. Pero, kumbaga, sa 6 na taon na yun, tingin ko kung meron kaming mga ganyang moments na nakikita naming, teka, malito siguro umalis na. May mga isa-isa nang umalis. No, pero para makitang tinapos yung buong thing ay siguro indicative yun of tuloy-tuloy na na pinanindigan kung ano yung pinangako.
Yun nga parang kasi kakaiba yung scenario na tipong you're really inspired to go to work or to really do your job. Tins, ikaw, what made you hold on to that job? Well, at ano pa yung ibang experiences mo na parang hindi mo kakalimutan dun sa stint mo sa trabaho niya kay PNoy?
Yung mga memorable lagi, yung mga exciting na pag-edit So, I think, so, yun nga sabi ni Ali, nag-edit kami kung saan-saan. So, inaalala ko is, nasa chopper na kami, papunta kaming Laguna or somewhere like that. Sa PNoy lang yung magandang chopper, yung may maayos na pintuan and whatnot. So usually sumasakay kami sa yung mga lumang chopper na hindi nagsasara na yung pinto. So ayun, balancing the laptop while trying not to fall out of the door of the open chopper is always memorable. Pero I guess as to holding on, I think kasi very clearly because we were very close to everything, you can see that it's not perfect and sometimes you're disappointed. But overall, naniniwala ka kasi na tama yung ginagawa at ng gustong gawin. Maganda yung gustong gawin ni Sir ng mga tao sa paligid niya. And I think just seeing that kind of integrity made it easier to stay even through the most difficult circumstances.
Totoo yun, no? Parang tayo, pag naghanap din tayo ng trabaho, 3 bagay. Masaya ka ba o liligaya ka pa dyan? Pangalawa, gagaling ka ba dyan? Huhusay ka ba dyan? Panghuli, bubuti ka bang tao? So, no, I wanna ask you, ano yung effect sa inyo nito? Parang in your young minds or in your young self, this experience really set your standards into the kind of job you'll be into, no? Kasi habang tumatanda naman tayo, dapat parang bumubuti yung lagay or nag-i-improve dapat yung lagay. Smile, ikaw. Was your going back to Ateneo an improvement of the job? Sorry, nag-freeze si Smile. Nako, baka magagalit yung mga... Ayan, Mal, go. Yun, parang when you went back to Ateneo, ano yun, parang sige na, parang safe refuge kasi yung Ateneo, di ba? Pero, what was the effect of that working with PNoy in your young mind or your standard in looking for a job?
Sa tingin ko po, yung unang struggle talaga, hindi mahirap nang mahanap yung same energy that I experienced from working with PCDSPO and other agencies. Grabe yung parang nakapasok ka sa isang team ng mga Avengers. Ganun yung vibe eh. Na parang lahat ng tao, pag sinabing ito yung kailangan gawin, yun lang yung mangyayari siya. Diba? Parang walang tanong-tanong, walang palipaliwanag. Like people just understood what needed to be done and people acted. So pagdating po sa Ateneo, ibang mundo naman siya, 'di ba? So hindi naman din siya, mahirap siya i-compare, hindi siya apples to apples in that sense kasi hindi naman siya parang may bagyo tapos okay, halika game, ano yung kailangang response, hindi siya ganoon. Pero mahirap po siya siguro for me kapag nako-compare mo yung level of problem na dinidiscuss. I mean, not to diminish or like not to compare, no. Pero kunyari may mga mga tinisa yung mga nandito, pero di ba pag may mga nagre-reklamo mga random emails na parang Burgess problems, napapa-take back ko talaga ako kasi ako parang grabe dati yung problema ko, sinisigawan ako ni sir kasi mali yung ganito, di ba parang kasi ganito kalaki yung impact ng problema pag di ko siya nagawa ng tama.
Yeah.
I have to respond to this very bougie problem.
That's true.
So may ganun lang pong disconnect, but for the most part, I think okay talaga yung training to be, di ba? Grin and bear it, di ba? Get the job done because it's the right thing to do. Parang dala mo lang siya.
I'll push it, ha? Do you see yourself doing government work again? And if ever, what will make you say yes?
Depende po siguro sa mga katrabaho, sa boss, di ba? Kung may chance po, di ba, na bumalik, di ba? I think nandun naman siya, hindi naman nawawala yung yearning to engage and be more intentional about nation building. Pero depende po talaga siya ulit sa mga kasama, di ba? At ano yung context ng ambag.
That's true. Tapos ito, push lang natin para may idea yung mga tao. Nakaipon ka when you were in government or sakripisyo rin talaga yan?
Well, salamat po sa salary standardization law during the Aquino administration na naipasa nung towards the end. May konting ipon naman ko pero inubos ko rin po pang grad school eh. So wala na po ulit. Yun. Pero okay naman po. I mean, it was not a bad paying job.
As PNoy staff, was he galante? Like to give you bonuses or gifts?
Hindi po.
Ay, hindi. Okay.
In a way lang po.
Yeah, go, team.
So yung sa pagpapakain, ayun.
Ayun,
pero yung taste din naman ni sir, minsan, pancake house, gano'n. Pancake house, pepper steak, Max's, okay na siya doon.
Pero di ba, parang, totoo yan, na napagurin mo yung mga tao, pero huwag mo silang gugutumin. Di ba, parang may gano'n. And that's a reward. At masaya na tayo doon, no? So, pero ikaw, Tina, for example, offer the government post again, will you be open to doing it?
Yes, but not right now, and I mean, depende po sa boss, I guess. The direct boss, I think, matters to me more than the ultimate leadership of the APLA admin. Because if you know your bosses are good people, it's so much easier to work in a challenge.
Ang galing. Ali, maganda yung point mo na PNoy was good to the young people. So, for a young mind, napaka-formative kasi nung yung years na ano mo parang nandun kayo sa leadership niya. So, you didn't feel outcast or after parang or hindi naman nagmamarunong? Yung tipo, anong culture doon? Make us understand that why para kayong nag-group project lang. Parang ganun ba? Parang casual, pero yun, ang naka-accomplish nyo, grabe. And sana there'll be a compilation of your speeches. Is that forthcoming?
Well, yung sa compilation muna ng speeches, meron nang nalabas dati yung opisina namin. May 2 volume na yon. May isa pang nilabas na puro Filipino rin. Noon pa. No? Pero yung sa pagtrabaho sa opisina, siguro i-note ko lang no, na nasasabi, puro marami ka sa amin, bata. Pero sa totoo lang, itong mga batang to, ito mismo kasama kong dalawa na to, ay ito yung mga, sila yung mga nasa top ng klase nila. No? Valedictorian candidate si Tina. No? Sorry kung lagi kong sinasabi yun. Pero yung buong room namin doon talaga nanliliit ako.
Parang the
Kasi,
best of the brightest, no?
Best of the best. Ako talaga parang paano ako napunta dito? Ako yung pinakapugoy doon. No? So, may ganong pressure din kasi bukod mga bata itong mga to, pero magagaling talaga to. Magagaling talaga
Pero
sila.
Ali, someone has to fulfill that function, no? Yung tipong, oo, alam yung mga nasa ground. Yun siguro
Tinanggap ko na yun siguro yung role ko, pambalanse lang. So,
at yung nagbe-business ngayon ng t-shirt na talagang kagat mo yung masa. Kasi kung hindi, parang siguro nakalutang din sa filosofiya si PNoy, di ba? So someone has to do that. So,
and siguro, yun yung sigurong na ngayon ko lang binabalikan na bakit naitawid ko yung yung takot na yun at yung parang wala akong confidence noon na bakit ako nandito? Ang bata ko pa. May mga mas magagaling sa akin. Ganyan. Pero siguro, napafeel niya sa amin na kahit nagkakamali kami, hindi niya kami bini-baby. Magkakamali ka, makakarinig ka, pero may susunod ka pang gagawin. Gagalingan mo yung susunod.
Na I heard your story sa Rizal High School, your first speech, at talagang sinabi na, okay, hindi kami nagkaintindihan ng speechwriter ko. Pero yun, tuloy-tuloy lang. So ang magandang value din yan, na parang never stop learning sa kanya rin.
And
so,
may tiwala talaga na magagawa. Kahit nagkakamali.
Ang ganda nun, ang gandang insight nun. Pero with that, saan papunta to? Parang ako, so you've lost contact after niyang namatay. After pagkatapos ng serbisyo sa gobyerno. Meron pa ba kayong contact kay PNoy noon? Or kasi yun nga, malalaman mo rin yung halaga ng isang tao pag wala na siya sa power. Did you feel that? Yung tipong, did you get in touch with him? Did you have that personal relationship with him? Smile?
Last ko po siyang nakita noong December 2019 yata, Christmas party. Tapos nagkatinginan lang kami sa may pinto. Tapos sabi niya, kakanta ka mamaya. Tapos ako, nag-yes lang po ako. Tapos in my head, aalis ako bago pa kantahin yung mga alipin. Kasi syempre mga boss mo na yung kakanta. Pero syempre dahil siya yung mag-open ng Rocky dahil siya yun, di ba?
Yeah.
So actually, kaya very tender sa akin yung buong thing. Kasi yung last na sinabi niya, parang pinalaki ako ng tatay kong gentleman. So papaunahin ko yung mga kababaihan. Smile, nasan ka na? Kumanta ka na dito.
My God! At ang kanta ay?
Favorite niya po ang na-entry ko sa The Voice, Malacanang ay Rolling in the Deep, mga Adele. I guess yun na po ang major contribution ko sa pagiging audiophile ni Sir. I introduced him to Adele. Wow, kapal na mukha.
Ang galing naman. Okay yun. At Tina, ikaw? Last interaction with him and yun.
So I think actually yung picture na ginamit po for the show, yun yung isang occasion na kompleto kami na speechwriters. Nag-dinner po kami. Yun yung dinner sa bahay ni Sir.
Yeah.
The last time I saw him was September 2019. Sa kasal po ng isang speechwriter din, si JC, na naging EA na. Ayaw na Sir nag-stay sa mga ganyan. Usually hanggang ceremony lang siya. Umuwi na rin siya and this was no different. Pero ayun, he helped me kasi in a way to go when I went to grad school. So I thank him. I thank him for helping me. And then, sabi lang sa akin is good luck. Yun na po yung task. Kasi umalis na ako.
Parang yung feeling niya, no? Parang responsibilidad niya kayo, pero it's no big deal. Pero sa inyo, ang lakas ng impact nung pagtulong na yon.
Actually, before we left the admin, I remember Sir calling us to his office and then sinabi niya sa amin, parang may nahanapan na ba kayong malilipatan, kung kailangan niyo ng tulong, sabihin natin.
Kilabot. Ali, ikaw, iba yung trinoma experience mo. Talagang ako, classic yun eh. But, ano pa?
Nagme-message sa akin yung assistant niya or minsan si JC dahil nagpapabili siya ng t-shirt. Mahilig siya magbigay dun sa mga kaibigan niya.
Okay.
So,
he supported your business.
Sa kahit man sa pagbili-bili lang ng t-shirt sa akin, yun, malaking bagay sa akin. So, yung huli ko ay nung February lang, na may mga bago kami lumabas na designs, tapos nakapagpadala ako sa kanya doon, tapos inabot ni Ate Yoli sa kanya. Tapos may short letter ako sa kanya na nakita ni Ate Yoli na binasa ni Sir, tapos napangiti daw si Sir. So, ayun.
And that was fulfillment for you already, no? So, ang galing naman. I can't ask this later kay Sir Rene and Bam, no? But let's ask about it, since attending weddings was one of your topics, Tina. 'Di ba sabi niya raw tama na yung jokes about yung buhok niya at yung love life niya. So, how did you deal with that? Sige, Tina, ikaw na.
Actually, yung si Sir naman is he's very open to poking fun at himself. Kasi yun din yung parang lambing niya sa audience. So, ayun, so pag may quote na speech, syempre yung quote zero joke niya is always present. Pero I guess, and I mean, I'm sure si Ate was may kwento dito, pero kapag nakapag-isip ka ng joke, tapos nilagay mo sa speech, magugustuhan niyo Sir. Kasi ginamit. Yun, I think, one of the proudest or mababaw na proudest moments as a speechwriter.
Do you share your sense of humor? Or parehong ganun, dry?
How do I say this?
What?
May pagkatito naman po kasi yung sense of humor na Sir nun eh. So,
Tito, very Tito. Ang saya. Second hour pa si Sir Rene, but he said he jokes at himself and at me. Tito talaga. Well, anyway, you have very, very good examples of his jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And may sarili rin talagang mga hirit si Sir. Para nag-experiment din kami noon kung anong humor niya eh. So may mga may mga ni-infuse akong jokes doon na talagang nakikita ng team na nagdadasal ako na sana pumasa. Tapos makikita nilang malungkot ako dahil hindi pumasa. So may isa siyang event na nagbukas ng isang Jollibee, parang milestone ng Jollibee na branch.
Okay.
Pang ilang branch nila, tapos nilagay ko doon parang, alam nyo yung mga problema natin kapag pinagtulong-tulungan natin, chicken lang yan. Mga ganong hirit. Tapos nagdadasal ako na i-deliver niya, hindi niya di-deliver. So may sarili siyang way naman of talaga eh, parang joking. And minsan yung style lang dyan, i-lead mo lang doon, wag ikaw yung humirit.
Yeah.
Dalin mo siya doon para siya yung magsabi.
Yeah.
So, ganun yung style.
Pero maganda lang, alam mo na, okay, meron siyang fun side. Yun lang, you just have to explore that. Smile, parang nakuha mo yung kiliti ni Sir.
Ano po ba yung sinasagot?
Yun.
Meron po, siguro po dahil nga parang over the years lang din po, abot din naman yung kapal ng mukha mo, di ba, na makisabay do sa hirit or pag may sinabi siya, sasagot ka na rin. Diba, hindi ka na lang nananatiling baby girl dun sa gilid. I think siguro, inside, hindi ko nga po alam kung inside joke to, pero naalala ko nandun si Tina, na nagnakaw kami ng mga violet crumble sa bahay pangarap. Tapos medyo marami po yung ninakaw namin. Ninakaw talaga siya kasi, may box ng violet crumbles, kumuha kami. Tapos alam ko, naglalakad kami pabalik ng office, sabi namin, laman kaya ni Sir na nagnakaw tayo ng violet crumble. Tapos sabi namin, siguro naman hindi niya nakita. Tapos siguro pa after a few weeks, dumating siya sa office. Tapos meron siyang isang malaking box ng violet crumble. Tapos kami, alam niya na nagnakaw tayo ng violet crumble. So,
fever, na paborito rin niya. So, well, that's good. But isa pa, I have to go through the emotions. Were you competitive dun sa grupo or wala? Parang damayan kayo? Or pagandahan ba kayo ng speech? May ganun ba? Kasi di ba sa group work, natatawa na lang kayo. I-on nyo lang. Okay.
Ina.
Para ba? I think, syempre, may certain level of pride in your work when you are the primary drafter. Pero I wouldn't say competitive kami kasi honestly, lahat ng speeches dumadaan sa isa't isa eh. So, si Ali may mga kapatuhan ng Filipino writer ako and the other English writer si Kian Lau. Lagi kami nagpapadaan ng speech sa isa't isa. So, it was a very collaborative approach.
So, PNoy didn't encourage that? Yung parang competition with Hindi, walang ganon. So it's really more collaboration. Gandang insight yon. Ali, ikaw? Any other thing? Yeah, go.
Same, walang kompetisyon. Lahat ito, at the end of the day kasi siya magde-deliver niyan. So, siya rin talaga yan. Kami ay kami lang yung nagbubuo at nagsusulat. Pero siya pa rin yan. Pero within our team, napaka-solid nung Speechwriters group as a unit. Tulungan talaga. Kapag may isang hindi na-deliver na speech, magdadamayan talaga kami. At walang sisihan. At kaya naman tumagal yung unit talaga na halos kami rin yung nagsimula, kami rin yung nag-end. At yun, celebrate pag may something to celebrate, sama-sama kami. Kapag naman malungkot, sama-sama pa rin.
It says something about your boss, na talagang all for one, one for all, talaga yung mga tao. Smile, ikaw, before I let you with your last speeches or probably messages for our leader. Yeah, Smile.
Wala rin pong oras kasi talaga for the competition eh, 'di ba? There's the job that needs to be done and you just need to produce. So parang may isa lang po yung expectation for all, sabi nga po ni Sec Rene dito sa chat, no. Sama-sama naman kayong papagalitan. So bakit pa kayo mag-uumasan? So yun, it's just one job.
It's really parang a group effort. Sama-sama tayong lahat. Smile, ikaw na lang yung mauna. You've written speeches or they've written speeches. But yung Salamat PNoy, doon tayo magmula. Kasi yun, nung yumao siya, parang ang dami ng mga eulogies, no? But I want you to like have your own. If you are to say thank you dun sa legacy niya or sa nabigay niya, ano yung pwede mong sabihin? Now being his 9th day, no? Nang iwan niya tayo.
Hindi po ako speechwriter, no, graphic designer po ako. Yeah. So siguro doon huhugutin yung pasalamat ko kay sir. So salamat talaga kasi sa kanya ko po naramdaman yung, 'di ba, parang pagtutok ng isang gobyerno, ng isang administrasyon for good design. And by good design, I mean, 'di ba, you know that especially for the context of governance and policy, yung good design, maganda siya pag hindi mo siya nararamdaman. Maganda siya pag hindi siya pasabog. Maganda siya kapag stable siya at maaasahan mo siya. Yeah. At ganun for me, yung naging experience, diba? You deliver not because you get recognized for it, but because it's just expected and things need to run. At yun po yung good design. At sa tingin ko, yun yung gusto kong baunin, diba? Na pagpapahalaga. Na it's not about the flashy drama things, diba? It's about making sure that things are running well.
Galing, no? Parang at mas tumatagal. And it's not about just one person, but it's a whole group. It's a whole community, no? Galing. Tina, go. You're a speechwriter, so if you were given that chance, hindi ka nakapunta ng Ateneo nun, na mag-speech naman doon, and what could you have said?
I guess even for me now, what stands out to me are the moments when Sir let his guard down around us. Parang, I mean, syempre pangulo siya ng Pilipinas, pero hindi din siya natatakot na magpakakingkoy sa harap namin or magkwento tungkol sa personal life. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one thing is he showed me that being a good boss and a good leader, while it is about having high standards and getting mad at people sometimes, it's also about empathy and being true to yourself. And he never tried to pretend to be anyone else, I would say. He was very consistent in how he is publicly and personally. And then I guess the other thing is the value of doing the job, even when it's hard, even when people hate you, even when yung minsan lagi nagkikwento si Sir kung anong gagawin niya pag kababa niya sa pwesto. And that he stayed, I think, and never really gave up and tried to do what was good. That for me is, I would think that would be fair.
Galing, no? Well, Ali, go. We'll have one more round later. But Ali, ikaw, a thank you speech probably. What are you most thankful for kay PNoy?
Ako yung talaga yung tiwala at kumpiyansa niya sa mga bata. Na katulad namin na nandito. Na parang kahit na kami may mga doubt din kami sa sarili namin noon bilang, 'di ba? Parang hindi pa ganoon ka lawak yung karanasan, pero nabigyan ng pagkakataon at yun, laging hinihinga ng ambag yung mga bata. At ayan, binigyan niya kami ng spasyo entablado para mag-ambag. At yun, ginawa namin yung trabaho ngayon lang kami nakapagsalita tungkol sa mga bagay na to.
Yes.
Nung mga panahon na nandun kami, wala kayong makikitang mga post about
Yeah.
what we were doing, even stories. Pero ganun si Sir. Gawin ng tahimik yung trabaho, gawin ng mabuti yung trabaho. At yun, yung trust niya talaga sa kabataang Pilipino at yung faith niya in the Filipino, in general, na hindi siya lang ang gagawa at hindi lang siya yung accomplish ng mga gusto nating gawin, kundi tayo lahat mismo, Tapos yung huli ko siguro yung yung pagiging mabuti, may mararating ang pagiging mabuti na pinagsisikapan yung mga bagay na mahalaga at mabuti. At meron tayong magagawa kapag ginawa natin yun ng maayos.
Pinaghihirapan din. No? Smile, kailangan mong sabihin ano yung efforts mo ngayon. I know break ngayon sa Ateneo, pero meron kang magandang effort na magandang sinimulan kasi para magandang ulit-ulitin yung mga storya ngayon, no? Kasi nahahambing dun sa kung ano yung meron tayo ngayon. So Smile, ano yung effort mo ngayon?
Hindi lang naman po ako. So nagtipon-tipon po yung mga kasama naming munchkin dati. Para ipunin yung mga kwento ng hindi lang nung mismong pakikiugnay kay PNoy at yung what was it like working with him, pero yung general inspiration, 'di ba, that drove all of us towards working for something, 'di ba, a big of a group project like that one. So gusto po namin sana ipunin lahat ng kwento sa isang Facebook page na ang title po ay Yes. So ito ay mga kwento ng mga dating batang nag-yes sa tawag ng government service. So nagsisimula pa lang po kami. Kasama ko yung mga dating kasama lang namin sa gilid ng mga meeting room at pinapanood yung mga boss naming magdesisyon ng mga mahihirap na bagay. Pero yun po yung, kung pwede niyo pong i-like and follow ang aming Facebook page. May Instagram na rin po pero ipapopulate pa lang namin ng laman. Yes po.
Good effort. Tina, a call for young people na nakasabayan nyo siguro na, this will be a very parang online or parang ibang klaseng eleksyon, no? Kasi social media na yung magro-rule. So, ano yung pwede mong panawagan bilang isang galing sa gobyernong pinagsilbihan mo, si PNoy?
For me, I guess, paano ba? Ang hirap nito. I think the point is for me always has been to understand each other. So I do feel that people have political leanings and sometimes there's very little that one interaction or one person can do to change that. But I do hope that everyone tries to understand each other more. Parang wag mag-awal sa comment section, wag magbatuhan ng putik. Just you have to parang and I guess that's part of improving political discourse. Kailangan mo lang intindihan kung saan sila nagpagaling. Hindi sila auto mali dahil nasa kabilang campo sila. Pero kailangan mo maintindihan kung bakit nila sinusuportahan at kung sino sinusuportahan.
And look for spaces when we can work together.
Exactly.
No? Parang,
understanding talaga and just that space to work together.
Ang ganda. Para kasi yun nga, napaka-polarized. So maghanap ng common spaces kung saan tayo pwede magkasundo. Ali, ikaw, yung tipong a lot of young people, yun nga, polarized and there's so much hate, no? At grabe ngayon. How do you thwart it, gearing towards making them think of yung repercussions in the future na magiging results ng elections?
Siguro itong mga lumalabas na kwento kay Sir, karamihan galing sa kabataan,
Yes.
ay hindi para sabihin na kami lang yung magaling o ito lang yung panahon na may nagawa, no? Pero ang punto lang nun ay mga totoong accounts ito, totoong kwento na nangyari noon. Na kaya pala yung ganito.
Yeah.
Meron pala talagang espasyo yung mga bata na makaambag at makagawa ng tama. No? So ang gusto sana rin natin diyan ay yun yung makita or mapagmunihan man lang, no, nang hindi lang mga naniniwala na lang na sa previous administration, pero kahit yung mga bata ngayon na nagtatrabaho sa current administration or nasa man panig sila, makita lang kung na may kapangyarihan yung mga bata na makatulong. At walang ibang panggagalingan kundi tayo ulit. So, I mean, tayong lahat collectively. So, yun, sana lang magsilbi as inspiration din itong mga simpleng kwento na to. At moving forward, kayang gawin ulit or kaya pang lampasan ng mga bata ngayon yung mga nagawa at marami pang pwedeng ibang gawin.
Magkikita-kita pa tayo ulit, Smile, Tina at Ali, at marami pa tayong gagawin magkakasama. Maraming salamat. I'm sure your boss is so proud of you. But allow yourselves to grieve. Kasi yun nga, yung common grief natin siguro will get to that common action na kailangan natin eventually. So, tatagan pa. Maraming salamat. Nandito na yung ibang guests natin. Pero thank you for our, sabihin natin, the young, the millennial guests, yung 21 to 29. We'll have the people closest to him sa cabinet at saka sa pamilya rin. Up next, we'll play muna yung kanta ni Father Manoling Francisco na ginawa, hindi para kay PNoy, pero dinedicate na kay PNoy yung pauwi na. Patutugtugin lang natin sandali, then we'll have Bam Aquino and then Secretary Rene Almendras plus the other student leaders and the people from radyo-katipunan here. Maraming salamat, Smile, Tina at Ali. Marami pa tayong gagawin. See you. On to our second hour, probably with this very emotional recollection of our former president. Okay lang, Smile at saka Ali at Tina to stay here. We'll put our focus on our two guests na yun, malapit na pamilya at yun, pamilya na rin na pinili dahil nasa gabinete. And then we have other people here, the presidents of the Ateneo Student Council, si JB Beharin at saka si Kel Kiwa. Who'll be asking questions and will be joining us in the reflections dun sa legacy nga ni PNoy. Kasama rin yung ibang kasama natin sa radyo-katipunan, si Alessa, si Engineer James Wong, at saka si Theo Recafort. So, Bam, Secretary Almendras, thank you for this opportunity. And then, the first question, katulad nung tinanong ko dun sa mga bata, Sir, hasn't sunk in? Hasn't tanggap nyo na ba na wala na si PNoy? 9 days after siyang pumanaw, ano yung epekto sa inyo? Bam, ikaw muna.
Well, Noel, magandang hapon firstly, Sec Rene, and to all of the speechwriters kanina, sa lahat ng mga nakikinig sa Radyo Katipunan, magandang hapon sa inyo. Actually, alam mo, sa totoo lang, Noel, it's still quite a shock. You know, hindi ko maisip na ninth. Is it really the ninth day? Hindi ba Thursday?
Yeah.
Paano ba yung count niyan?
Yung count daw parang the night na nawala, tapos yun,
the first day.
Yeah.
It's
I was surprised also with the thing that you sent na today yung last day nung novena nga.
Novena. So I guess today nga yung ninth day prayers, no. But it's really still quite a shock, no. Parang the last week has been parang ang bilis ng pagdaan nung nakaraang linggo.
Yeah.
And the last couple of days especially parang you know, it seems sometimes that you're floating, parang hindi ka pa talaga firmly on ground, no, on solid ground. When I found out last Thursday morning, it was really a big shock to the system, no. So, you know, may mga moments, even my wife si Timmy, may mga moments na iiyak-iyak na lang siya bigla. You know, watching all the tributes or reading all of the articles that have come out, unfortunately belatedly, no. But just reading these articles really bring out a lot of emotions pa rin.
Sir Rene, you gave one of the best speeches during the eulogy sa Ateneo, sir. Yun yung kagat na kagat din sa akin, sir, kasi kayo yung nandun sa ground at kasama niya nung araw na yon. Sir, nag-sink in na po ba or nag-grieve na po ba kayo? Enough.
I don't think sink in yet, pero moving on. First of all, good afternoon, Noel.
Sir.
And please, can you please stop calling me Sec or Sir? Okay, Rene po. Okay. Pareho lang po tayo, pati si Senator Bam nga. No, I think my problem is in the last, kumbaga, last 2 years, every other day, at least a text message or a call. Sunday before he passed away, I called. Normally, I always call Saturday just around lunchtime because I know he will wake up and I always tell him, sige na, pumunta ka sa range or pumunta ka to encourage him to go out. But that Saturday, he didn't go out. Hindi daw niya kaya. Then Sunday, I called again, but this time, he didn't answer. So I called Yoli and Yoli said, sir, nandito si And alam na ni Yoli usually yung conversation, kumain na ba and all that. And Yoli would always said na, nandito si Manolo tsaka si Pinky. You know, the sisters have been very, very supportive. They take turns visiting him. So that was Sunday. Tuesday, nag-text sa akin. Tinext ko siya kasi I know he was still recovering from the latest pneumonia na he was hospitalized for pneumonia again and he couldn't talk long because nahihirapan siya. No? So sometimes to calibrate, I just text him and if he calls, that means he wants to talk. Kung hindi, text na kami. Tuesday, nag-text kami and my last question to him, so hope you're feeling better. Ang sagot niya, could be better. Then siguro mga 15 minutes later, tawag si Yoli. Sir, may dumating na humba dito. Sabi ni PNoy, ipadala ko daw sa iyo. Sabi ko, Yoli naman. Pagagalitan na naman ako ng asawa ko. So sabi ko, wag na. On second thought, I should have dapat kinain ko, dapat tinanggap ko. Sabi ko nga. So coping is a better term for it. My kids have a term for it. When we talk about economics, about so ang sabi ng daughter ko, oops, the NN. Ano ibig sabihin ng NN? Sabi niya, nothings with noy-noy. Okay. Which became a regular thing. So, I think it will take time. Somebody advised me na during the times daw that I'm supposed to be talking to him, I should still talk to him. So, I still tell him, si Romy na lang bisitahin mo.
Yeah.
And true enough na naginip si Romy kaya nagpa-interview.
Yun nga po, I caught the interview of Romy na papunta pala sa dapat sa States. Tapos si Alec stayed here for the wake, no? But let's fill in the gaps doon po sa time na wala sa publiko, wala sa mata ng publiko si PNoy. So how was he after bumaba siya sa poder. Bam, ikaw, yeah, you were in touch with him, pero what kind of citizen Pinoy was there? Kasi yun yung walang alam yung publiko.
Yeah, actually, I saw him more after his presidency than during his presidency. Kasi syempre, even though I was in the Senate, he was the president. Nakakahiyang just to drop in. I didn't want to be the kamag-anak or the senator that just drops in Malacanang. And most of those times after I met with him, I would go to Sec Rene's office, if he remembers. Bibisitahin ko rin si Rene. So I actually saw him more nung hindi na siya presidente. He had more time to see people. I joined him, I think, once or twice for dinner. And he actually was very up to date with everything.
Okay.
He was very up to date with everything. He watched too much YouTube and Netflix, I think. No? I would tell him, boss, easy na. Baka kung nung mga pinapanood mo dyan, baka nasi-stress ka lang. Natatawa si Secretary because he knows what I'm talking about. No? He watched a lot of content. He read a lot. Of course, yung music was still, one of the things that took up his time. But when I would visit him, we would talk about things that were happening in the Senate, things that were happening in politics. Hindi siya out of touch. Definitely hindi. He kept in touch with everything. Sometimes nga may mga balita siya, hindi ko alam kung saan niya nakuha yung mga balita niya. No? People would call him, people would tell him things. I would see him also when we would visit Senator Laila in the camp. No? So he would also visit Senator Laila a lot. So he kept quiet, I think. He wanted to keep quiet. He wanted to fulfill his promise na sabi niya, pagbaba ko, hindi ako magpapaka-epal or whatever, di ba? So he kept that promise, but by no means was he out of touch with what was happening. He kept abreast of everything. Sometimes yung ibang balita sa kanya pa nauuna kaysa sa akin, no? And there would be times I felt na he was very worried about the country, no? Sometimes nga nililihis ko na yung usapan pag-usapan na lang natin yung napanood sa YouTube or things like that. But he would always go back to that. He would always check up on everyone, especially the elected officials, no?
Yeah.
So the last time I saw him actually was during that episode where he was na-hospitalize siya. He went in for a biopsy and things didn't turn out well. That was one of the last times I saw him. That was probably 2018 or 2019. No, that was probably 2019.
November 2019.
Yeah.
But what were the issues he felt strongly about na hindi
lahat
talaga? But ano yung pwedeng parang he could like have had parang very good advice or very good opinions on?
Well, China, of course, was
yes.
heavy on his mind, Noel. No,
Yes.
there was a time naglabasan pa kami ng mapa. Tinawag niya I don't remember if it was still JC who was his assistant during that time, but ilabas yung mapa, ayan, and then titingnan yung West Philippine Sea and all of the geopolitical things, no?
On that issue nga, Bam, sabi ganun, i-convene niya yung isang team, di ba, yung presidential something team, no, na mga dating mga presidente at mga parang presidential advisory team. At kung kinonsult lang sila ni Presidente Duterte, parang mas solid yung pwede nating naging decision doon.
I don't know if he was consulted, Noel. To be very honest, I don't know if anybody called him. I don't know if they called him and he declined or they didn't call him at all. But clearly he went a different direction, which is pinaglaban niya yung teritoryo natin at dinala niya sa international tribunal, no? And back in 2016, of course, I think it's different now. But back in 2016, the position of government was to set that decision aside. So magkasalungat yung kanilang gustong gawin, no? But maybe later on, nung medyo mas lumaban na rin yung DFA at yung AFP, I would have thought it would have been good na makonsulta siya dyan. Since anyway, sa kanya rin naman nagsimula yung kaso or isa siya sa mga nagtulak talaga ng kasong yun, no? So that was heavy on his mind. Marami pa, iba-iba pa. Sometimes there would be hearings that he would be giving comments on or giving suggestions on. So ano yan, Noel? He would be mostly in times, but there would be times na lalabas rin yan for dinner with his friends, yung barkada niya, sila Sec Rene. I don't remember kung magkasama kami ni Sec Rene that one time na napasama ako. And then nag-shopping siya sa Shangri-La, no, doon sa mall. And I remember going around with him, looking at some shops. We went to a music shop, which of course he really loved. And yung mga sales attendant nagugulat na nandun siya. May isang famous kwento na kinuwento ng staff niya sa akin na bumili siya ng sapatos sa UP Town Center. At while he was buying a pair of shoes, naiyak bigla. May dumaan. Tapos umiyak bigla sa harap niya. And then sabi ni PNoy, ano bang dapat gawin ko kapag may umiiyak sa harap ko? Dapat ko bang ihag? Dapat ko bang sabihin wag umiyak? There was one time, I remember, I'm not sure kung si Sec Rene nagkwento sa akin ito, but in a restaurant, pinalakpakan siya, Sec Rene. I'm not sure kung kasama ka doon, no? In one particular restaurant, when people saw that he was there, they started to clap and cheer for him. Lahat naman yan na nakakwento rin niya during his time na hindi na siya presidente.
Sec Rene, Rene sir, ano pa yung storya ng PNoy bilang isang citizen? At yun, ano yung mga issues that he felt strongly about? Kunyari, yung natin sa COVID, did you get some insights on him on how he could have helped in the COVID situation?
No, maybe let's move back lang. Yung immediately after when all the cases were filed against him, he was really working. My problem is I never really stopped working for him. But that's okay. I mean, everybody warned, kahit hindi na presidente yan, utusan ka pa rin yan. And true to form, it happened. Now, the problem there is, I have records. Of all the meetings that we attended together and all that. So, he would call me and say, naalala mo to. Buti na lang, I can find it, most of it.
Good.
Okay. Except yung sa Dengbak siya, hindi kasi ako sali sa mga meetings na yun. Kaya I did not have the actual. Otherwise, I would have had the voice recordings.
Oh, good.
What I would do is voice record every single cabinet meeting that we were in charge of. There were meetings kasi that we were not. So in that stage, we were really working on the case. No? That's why that's why na-dismiss lahat yun, because we had evidences, we have records, we had everything there. So he was a citizen, but he was also, as Senator Bam would say, very attuned to what was happening.
Galing, sir. I want to tackle the SAF 44 issue because Julia, talk to me about how you took care of the families. People don't know that. So, yun po. Can you clarify that? Ano pa po yung ibang ginawa niya para pangalagaan yung pamilya? Kasi isa yun sa mga sore things na binabato sa kanya.
Well, I think, first of all, there was a letter, di ba? And there was this young guy who wrote to him about Mama Sapano. And I was very involved on the second Senate hearing in Mama Sapano. First, one of the findings why it was dismissed was even the security officer who was with the guy attested to the fact that they were given instructions to coordinate with the chief PNP and with the armed forces. So, I mean, it was clear now. Then when everything happened, the president said, let's make sure that we take care of the families.
Yes.
So, Dinky, DSWD, HLURB, everybody was brought in and said, okay, what is needed? We met with each family member, with each spouse. And we discussed how many children and everything. So where are you living? What are you doing? And everything. So the thing was, we made sure that they would never have a problem as far as a place to live in, as far as the education of the children were concerned. I mean, we had private donors who were giving educational plans, grade school, high school, college educational plans. No? So, as I said, you can never pay for a life, but
that's true.
His intention was, look, something went wrong. We can't undo it, but let's make sure that those who remain will be taken care of. So, I mean, that was the operative word, and we did. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to joke about it, but sorry, for all practical purposes, we were shocked that some people actually had more than one family, right? I mean, and so on and so forth. We had multiple claimants.
Pero sir, bakit hindi to na-cover ng press? Ba't hindi nasabi to nung panahon na ang daming bumabati ko sa kanya? Well, with the speechwriters, we were talking about the last report to the nation, yung last SONA, and they felt it na parang people were kind of unfair to the president, yung accomplishment report niya. May breakdown na po doon sa connect natin sa mga tao.
Unfortunately, Noel, you have to consider the personality of PNoy. Okay? And I can tell you, you go to the records in Malacanang, and it's not just the SA 44. You want to talk about sitio electrification, you want to talk about poverty programs, every single record is there. It's on record, audited by COA to prove to that. But as far as, sorry for the word, trumpeting it is concerned, it was just not PNoy style. It was just not. And his feeling was, pag nilabas, actually somebody suggested that, but he said, pag nilabas natin yan, baka sabihin nila we're trying to, coerce or settle or something like that. No? But again, when he made a decision, we respected it and we followed it.
Noel,
Yes,
with regard to PNoy and the media, no, I mean,
lang ba bumabait ulit at tanggapin natin yan?
Hindi, grabe. Alam mo, Noel, all of these articles are quite appreciated, no? But even my wife said, para naman tong too little too late rin.
Yeah.
Diba? Because honestly, the treatment kay PNoy during his presidency ng media was unfair at times. Not all the time. It was unfair at times. And even he would say it sa mga speeches niya. Diba? He would call out before President Duterte would threaten the media or say things about the media. Si PNoy already was saying even early on na hindi naman fair yung coverage na yan.
Yeah.
No? So I don't know why. Maybe may mas saleable pa rin pag bumabatikos ka o mas benta ka pag bumabatikos ka. But during his presidency, there were really a lot of things na hindi na talaga napag-usapan or na-frame siya in a certain way para negative siya. I mean, you're a scholar of media as well as a media practitioner, Noel. Kitang-kita naman yun, di ba? Yeah. Na during his time, especially the last 2 or 3 years, iba rin yung framing nila sa mga accomplishments ni PNoy.
Yung tanimbala nga lang, di ba? Parang sabi, ang dali namang patayin yun at tapusin. Pero pinatagal talaga at nag-spill over pa sa dami ng mga issues.
Well, may mga ops talaga no? May mga operations yan yung mga political opponents, and that's uncovered no through the years na uncover rin yan that there were particular issues na talagang binigyan ng pansin ng opponents ni PNoy. But if you look at all of the big issues no, and obviously nothing is perfect. And there were many things na ginusto ng gabineteng yun, ginusto na PNoy na hindi nangyari. No? There were many things. There were a couple of things which they weren't able to fully accomplish, no? All of the goals. But makita mo, lahat naman ng mga problema o pagkakamali, hindi siya dahil sa masamang intensyon. No, the intentions were always there to help, and I honestly believe that he did his best, the cabinet did its best. Sometimes nagkulang, but yung mga pagkukulang yun talaga yung binigyan ng pansin. No? Now, no excuses. No? Sometimes things don't work out, but now I'm just really happy to see that a lot of people are saying, at the end of the day, this was one person na binigay niya lahat ng mabibigay niya. No? Maybe hindi niya naabot lahat ng hindi niya na-check lahat ng mga boxes na gusto niyang i-check by the time he stepped down, but you cannot fault him for not trying until the last day of his presidency to make things better.
And we enjoyed our freedom kasi in the press, nasasabi yung gustong sabihin, wala siyang pinasara. Hindi siya naghigante dun sa mga tao yun. Yun lang yung pwede.
Exactly. But, Noel, ano rin yan eh. Kumbaga, parang much like America, di ba? Sa America, sabi nila, if media didn't cover Trump so much, he probably wouldn't have become president, di ba? Yeah. In the same way, I think media was not that favorable to PNoy. Let's put it that way. No? Maybe there was a honeymoon period of the first year, but definitely when I already was in the Senate yung last 3 years, that honeymoon was long gone, no? And talagang naulan sila ng batikos. At kahit anong pakiusap nila, no, na please cover us fairly, please cover both sides, please also allow us to share our side. There was a period there, especially 2015, 2016, na hindi na talaga nabibigyan ng tamang balanse yung balita rin tungkol sa kanila.
Before I ask JB to ask this question, Sec Rene, ininda po ba ni PNoy yan? Well, the way media looked at him and how he was painted sa public.
Yes. There were many nights and dinners that we discussed that, and he would complain. Pero sa pinagdaanan ni Pinoy, di ba? He never threatened anyone because he knew that, the freedom of the press was a very important thing. And mind you, there is somebody in Malacanang whose job it is to search, wala pang search engines masyado nun, every single critique of the president on radio, on TV, or on print. And it is written up, and he will get it before the end of that day.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, I know the guy who used to do it. One time, the guy was so shocked, Pinoy called him.
Mhm.
Akala niya pagagalitan siya, akala niya may nakalimutan siya. But Pinoy called him to thank him and said, salamat and that person was kept hidden because purposely Pinoy said, I don't want a cordon sanitaire. I want to get it as it comes. As a matter of fact, the speechwriters, they were more than speechwriters.
Yes.
They were Pinoy's listening post. They were his way of hearing out what are the young people talking about. That's why he would talk to them. He respected their inputs on speeches as well as on policy, I will say. They may not have known it, but Pinoy would listen to them in those conversations. So he really wanted ibigay sa akin lahat. And then he would say, eto. Sabi ko nga, he was a better man than me because when we have those conversations, ako nagagalit, umiinit ulo ko, tumataas blood pressure ko. Pero siya, he will say, it's part of the course, diba? I mean, media freedom. And I fully agree with Senator Bam. Somebody asked me, bakit ba kayo bugbog sarado nun?
Yes.
Ang sagot ko doon is basically because everybody knew they could say anything they want and not be worried about what's going to happen to them or anything like that. Because
At
that
saka
was
in the long term, pwedeng ma-verify naman yung sasabihin. But the people in the speechwriting group was saying he was such parang a square copy na tipong hindi siya calling attention to himself. So, yun parang
Noel,
yeah.
can I also share something? No?
Yes,
So nung tapos na yung presidency niya and kasi in 2016 that's when fake news really started to take over our internet in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And bugbog na bugbog talaga siya.
Mhm.
And honestly, nung una, hindi niya masyadong siguro na-grasp yung gravity of the volume and level of fake news that was out there. And being a younger cousin, medyo mas adept at these things, I was trying to explain to him na, it's not like before na pag may sinabi ka, sasagutin mo sa kunyari, may sinabi yung kalaban mo sa'yo sa Inquirer, pwede mo sagutin sa Inquirer the next day, tapos na. Ito, the attacks are coming from all over the place, from 1,000 places. Your supporters are getting attacked also, so on and so forth. And he said one thing na at that time, hindi ako nag-agree. Pero now, looking back, tama rin siya. Sabi niya, Bam, huwag kang mag-alala kasi yung mga tao, makikita rin nila yung katotohanan.
Tama rin naman.
Magtiwala ka sa mga tao, makikita rin nila yung katotohanan. You don't have to, go that extra effort. This is him, This is him. I don't necessarily agree with it 100%, pero ito siya. Sabi niya, you don't have to go around defending yourself all the time kasi yung mga tao, makikita rin nila yung katotohanan. Aabot rin sila dyan. Magtiwala ka sa kanila, aabot rin sila dyan. And that was him. At the end, having been at the forefront of all of these attacks, hindi nawala yung idealism niya in that sense, na sa dulo ng lahat, the truth will still come out and people will find their way. And at that time, I was incredulous, parang hindi ako makapaniwala sa sinasabi niya. But, now.
Pero Bam, did you find out kung sino yung organized group na yon?
Of course.
Nakita nyo. So, former presidents, mga ganun klase?
Of course, Noel. I mean, di naman yan sikreto, di ba? I mean, obviously, the main opponents of the previous administration were the ones behind it, di ba? I mean, sama-sama naman kaming lahat dyan na tinotroll din, di ba? Even now, I'm heavily trolled and PNoy is also heavily trolled. Ate Chris is heavily trolled again, no? So, I think yung pinagkaiba lang compared to 2016, 2017 is ngayon, yung mga tao, alam na nila na may fake news. Alam na nila na may political operations na manira ng ibang tao. Unlike maybe in 2016, 2017, it was so new na mas mataas yung hit rate na naniniwala yung mga tao. Palagay ko ngayon, mas kaya nang makita ng mga tao na laro to ng politika kaya sinisiraan yung taong ito, no? That's, I think, is the big difference. Hence, maybe fake news is not as
palatable now, yeah.
Oo, or mas alam na ng mga tao kung ano yung totoo. So in the end, baka tama rin nga si PNoy, just give people time. Sila na rin mismo yung magsasabi kung ano yung totoo at hindi.
Kinikilabutan lang ako, ma'am, kasi parang kinailangan pa niyang mamatay para lumabas yung totoo. Hindi naman sana mangyari yon sa atin at sa ibang mga tao na kinoconsider nating leaders natin. So, JB, from Ateneo, our Student Council President, to ask questions sa ating mga guests. Go.
Hi po, SDA and Sec Rene. I used to be the Sanggo president po. There's actually a new Sanggo president now. But my question po is, you've been sharing stories on the criticisms and the complicated legacy of PNoy. I'm just interested how he dealt with, I guess it must have been hard. Like, it must have had emotional toll on him. Parang how did he deal with that emotional toll during and after the presidency? Kasi sa Sanggo nga lang po, parang ang hirap na to deal with criticism while making hard decisions, di ba? Parang paano niya na-balance yun? Narinig ko, paborito niyang kanta yung Minsan Minahal Mo Rin Ay Ako. Pinakinggan ko siya mga 2 times. Parang gets ko kung bakit.
Ang tindi ng hugot, no? Ang tindi ng hugot ng kantang yun.
Well, Bam was president of the Student Council too, and valedictorian and all the medals there during graduation. But Bam, how did he deal with that?
Can I answer it first on a day-to-day level?
Yeah.
Ang kwento niya sa akin is he would listen to music. So in fact, he was advising me, no, nung nasa Senate pa, pag nasi-stress ka na, mag-set up ka ng speaker, magpatugtog ka, but hindi ko jam yun hindi ako music guy, no, but he was actually suggesting na mag-set up rin ako ng sound room or something like that. Umpo ka sa gitna, tapos a-arrange natin yung mga speaker para yung, I don't know the technical term for it, pero yung lugar na yung mga sound waves tumatama, he was advising me about that. So I know that definitely on a stressful day, he would listen to his favorite songs. By the way, eclectic yung taste niya. Yung Minsan Ang Minahalay Ako, that was one that he really liked, but he liked many different types of music. He would go shopping with my brother for CDs when they were much younger, no. So talaga siya, iba-iba yung gusto niya. But on a siguro not on a day-to-day level, but on a deeper level, I think si PNoy kasi alam niya yung tama at mali. No, alam niya yung tama at mali. And he is unique in that sense sa politika na malinaw sa kanya. Ito yung tamang gawin, ito yung kailangan gawin, therefore ito yung gagawin natin. Hindi siya nagwe-waver. He was not a person who really wavered or he didn't waffle or waver or yung nagbaka sakali. Hindi talaga siya ganun eh. Basta dito tayo. Sometimes nga to a point of being stubborn, no? But he knew what needed to be done and he did it. And I think at the end of the day, kaya siya mahal ng tao kasi here's a person, some may agree, some may not agree, pero ginawa niya yung tingin niyang tama para sa bayan. And that I think goes to the way he valued his parents. And the way he valued the legacy of his parents also na alam niyang hindi niya ipapahiya yung magulang niya. So therefore, malinaw sa kanya kung ano yung dapat niyang gawin. And because malinaw sa kanya, I would like to think na yung mga batikos became, kumbaga mas madaling tanggapin o mas madaling i-absorb or i-deflect. Kasi, and I guess I can also speak for myself here, yung mga batikos naman dahil tama yung ginagawa mo or tingin mo tama ginagawa mo, mas madali mo ring tanggapin or mas madali mong i-shake off kasi at the end of the day, ginagawa mo naman yung tingin mong tama rin, di ba?
Sec Rene, anong mga experiences nyo kay PNoy that would point to that on how he handled things after his presidency?
No, I think tama si Bam, it was always music. That's why we had to set up a sound. Nung una, his office in Malacanang did not have the speakers, the amps, and everything. But when things began becoming a bit more tough, so one day he said, "Pre, kabit natin yung isang spare system ko." It's a big problem because if you saw his office in Malacanang, it was not designed to be an audiophile-friendly environment.
Maraming bintana.
It took a long time to fix it. I could tell when I approach his office, if there is music playing, I could tell what to prepare for. Okay, tama si Bam. There's a whole variety of music that he would like. I can remember what song he was listening to before the 2014 Sona. I can remember parang ganun yung style niya eh. There was a time he introduced me to Pitbull. Particular song on Pitbull na gustong-gusto niya. But guess what? It was in the middle of one of those crises.
Okay.
But the other dimension that PNoy did was, alam mo, sacred kay PNoy yung evening, yung dinner. People would criticize, bakit ba ang hirap imbitahin ni PNoy for dinner? But if you invite him for a dinner engagement, he will speak. Sometimes he won't eat na, but he will leave because he needed that decompression time, which he actually taught me. Because I used to complain that ang hirap matulog, no? I was in energy, sinusunog na yung picture ko, and all that, ang hirap matulog. Hindi ko naman kasalanan tumaas ang presyo ng gasolina. And his advice to me, pero ganito yan, para makatulog ka, kailangan ka mag-slow down, kailangan ka mag-decompress yung term namin doon. And that's when he would listen to a particular kind of music that will help him decompress. The other thing I want to bring up is, I really got so offended when people were hitting him about not being religious and all that. Because number one, he would talk to Sister Agnes, he would talk to Father Arevalo, and Father, kung sino-sino mga kinakausap niya. And he was, but there were times after a very difficult, or when we're about to go into a very difficult situation, he'd actually say, medyo malinaw na sa akin yung nagdasal ako kagabi.
Okay.
Now, there are two components to dasal. And Senator Bam is again very accurate there because dasal is God. But the other thing that he would do is, it's almost like talking to Tito Ninoy and Tita Cory in the context of what would you have done in this particular situation. So that in the morning when he talks to us, he would say, my mom said something like this before, or my mom said something, or my dad believed that the first freedom should be freedom from poverty. So let's go back to that. Yung mga ganong moments. So I think that also helped him cope, aligned to what Senator Bam was saying. Parang he had a true north. Ito yung tama. This is the way to go, no? And everything else, wherever the winds take him to or the waves take him to, he realigns to, ito yung tama. You won't believe this. When he decided to run for president, I was, and Bam knows this, I was absolutely against his running for president until the last minute talaga. I said, wag na, tapos na. We had something like 5-6 days of session on the context of bakit ba ako tatakbo? Ano bang gagawin ko? So we actually developed a program of activities or initiatives. Kaya yung walang mahirap kung walang corrupt, hindi yun byline, pinag-aralan yun. Pina-compute niya yung leakage ng ganon. And talked about the bureaucracy and talked about this and what if you had a stable environment. I can give you a 2-hour presentation. I have that on PowerPoint because he asked me to make it into a chart so that every member of the cabinet knew exactly what his contribution was. So I think those times when there was a lot of pressure and critique and all that, because he had that view of, as Bam said, he knew what was right. He knew what his objective was. His number one goal was poverty reduction. Everything else followed through. Economic stability was a secondary goal to poverty reduction. Yung parang ganon, yung alam niya talaga kung anong gusto niyang gawin. So I think that was also very helpful in those times of difficulties.
Are you writing his memoirs, sir?
No, I'm not allowed to.
You're not allowed to. Okay. Pero yun nga, parang the speechwriters were given that liberty to say their stories when he's gone.
Yes, but me, I'm not. I am sworn to keeping certain things private until I am buried. So, and I made that promise to him. And this is not just about girlfriends, okay? Girlfriends, competency na si Romy na yan, pero
I know, but I'll ask that, sir, kasi wala si Sir Romy dito. But then I heard that he really wanted to have a family.
He did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why do you think he loved kids so much? Di ba, Senator Bam?
Yeah.
He loved his nephews, mga anak ni Bam, my own kids. He would treat them like, and he'd ask them when they meet, kumusta yung grades mo? Kumusta yung I even shared a picture on Facebook about my daughter talking to him in something very serious because he really, I'm sorry, I fully agree, he really wanted a family, he wanted to get married, he wanted to have kids.
Ang galing. Kasi Bam, meron daw siyang girlfriend dati na nakilala nyo or nakilala ni na Jiggy dati na gusto niyang balikan. Yung di ba palagi niya nang naiisip noon.
Hindi ko alam. Mas alam ni Rene yan. Hindi ko alam yung mga kwento ng girlfriend niya.
And nakausap niya nung, I think, 2017 or 18, nakausap na niya.
Okay.
First hand yung info ko na.
Pero yun, magandang na gusto niya talagang magkapamilya.
Yes, we were always trying to set him up. I think that was the perennial activity of his friends, trying to find someone for him to meet, diba? But syempre, as he got older and syempre former president, diba? It became a little bit harder to find him a date. But you know, I mean, all throughout my life, I'm looking back now. He was dating somebody from the time he was a young man all the way until right before he left the presidency. No, if I'm not wrong, am I mistaken, Rene? Parang naman, 'di ba? Parang laging meron siyang dinidate, 'di ba?
Pero after sabi niya, pero hindi rin na natuloy. Pero yun yung maganda, parang yun siguro naging byuda agad. Then baka yun kasama doon sa grand plan, no? Kasi naiwan niya sigurong kung nagkapamilya siya. Kaya parang tinuring niyang pamilya kayo or yung mga tao talaga. Well, anyway,
Noel, si PNoy had a really close barkada. Of course, Rene was part of that barkada. Yun talaga yung ka-dinner niya. They would go out, they would visit him, they would see him, and you know, apart from his sisters, of course, and yung pamangkins niya, which of course is a very close relationship, yung barkada talaga niya yung valued talaga niya yung barkada niya. And you know, from when he was president and it was really stressful, he needed that support group all the way until he wasn't president. They were there with him all the way, no? And grabe yung friendships na yon. He really kept those friendships and he really valued those friendships.
Ang matagalan, no? Parang yung mga projects na
through thick and thin yung mga kaibigan na yon.
Sir, kayo ba yung nagpadala ng mga bulaklak sa mga kaibigan ko rin? Like kunyari, si Agot kasi, wrote about it and thanked PNoy for the flowers. And I know some other people na parang nire-reto-reto, pero nagpasalamat ang wala, hindi naman daw nag-progress.
No. Let's clarify that. I'm authorized to clarify that.
Okay.
we were in a party. As a matter of fact, it was a party in the clubhouse of where I live. I don't remember what party exactly it was, but dumating, Agot was there, and it wasn't even a setup, no? She happened to be there, they talked. Si PNoy kasi is the perfect gentleman. Alam mo, pinapagalitan ako ni PNoy when he sees that I allow my wife to go into the car without opening the door. And that's 55 years old na kami. Pre, parang hindi ata tama na pinapabayaan mo na lang si Marie. I mean, really, he was such a perfect
galing.
And I think the speechwriters would know that. Sasabunin niya kaming lahat na lalaki, pero pag sa babae, iba talaga siya. Yung talaga, very respectful, very careful. So, yes, there were people na we would meet and they talk and maybe explore and something like. But he always did send those, if not even in the cabinet. Ang joke nga sa cabinet, pag pinagalitan ka ni PNoy, malamang padadalan ka ng merienda.
That's good. That's good.
So, even my team, my staff, they know something happened when suddenly there's a slice of cake that will arrive in my office. It's either pinagalitan ako or may papagawa. I mean, he was...
Yun yung love language niya, sir.
Yeah, no, and people described it as his way of being sweet. And it got to a point that he had to remember that Dinky had sugar issues. Because iba talaga. And every time we eat out, he'd make sure na, we eat in a place where these people can, those that have diet restrictions will not be awkward. Parang ganon. So, and that's how he was with people like that. Na, okay, mami, pinadala ng flowers. Yes. Hindi ako nagpadala. Siya nagpadala nun.
Okay.
Mind you, hindi kami inutusan to do those things. He is the one who does those things.
Oh, okay. Well, ibang love language naman, Kiel. Si Kiel po, isang Ateneo former president din ng Student Council.
Hello, Sir Noel. I hope my audio is clear. Hi, Sir Bam, Sir Rene. Sir Bam, every time nandito tayo, parang laging malungkot. laging nagluluksa. I hope next time mas masaya naman yung reason kung bakit tayo nasa Radyo Katipunan, no? Sir Rene, na-mention niyo po kanina yung about PNoy's discernment process. As it's a very deep Ignatian value. I hope you could share more about that.
No, I mean, where did he study? Who trained him, di ba? I mean, siya pa nagpapalala sa akin na preman for others tayo, di ba? Or, I mean, no, he had his style. He had his way, di ba? ABMG, overcast, everything aligns to, yung parang ganon, kaya hindi siya natataranta. He's very, alam niya saan titingin for, a very clear perspective, what is the true north. People would criticize because he didn't go to communion or stuff like that. No, it's in the same way that he doesn't want to do something para lang pakitang tao. He considers certain things very personal and deep. And within him, he will do it. He will go through it in his style. The other story I was going to tell that I never got around a chance to tell was our visit to their house in Boston. Bam, you know this. That was a tremendously difficult plan. I mean, to go back to the house was, and even the sisters were worried, but he decided, when he heard that we were going to go to Boston, his request to me is, bisitahin natin yung bahay namin. You know what? That the night before that visit, we were having dinner, and he was very different. And then, just when we separated, he said, kailangan ko paghandaan ang gagawin natin bukas ng umaga. And we picked him up early. We left early because he was going to have a meeting. We only had a window of about an hour and 15 minutes to do that before. So early breakfast, alis kami. The first thing he told me when we saw him was, nagdasal ako kagabi, ready na ako. Now, it was something else. It was something else. I mean, I can't tell you everything, but put it this way. The three of us who were with him, halfway through we were crying. The owner of the house, the old lady, and the sister who owned the house, who were both teaching, I think, in the schools there, they were, talagang, he was pointing, he says, this is the small table. There was a small table here where there was a telephone, which is where the phone rang, and I went to, and I answered a call from Manila that told me that Dad was dead. This is the door that we exited when my dad left through the back door, not the front. I mean, admire, I mean, really, sabi sa loob ko, wow, strength, fortitude, composition, and everything. I mean, I just saw so much strength in the guy. I mean, of course, after that afternoon, we went for pizza to his favorite pizza place. Yun naman ang recovery strategy yung araw na yun. But yeah, he had his, shall we say, processes. He had his way of dealing with things.
Very good. Kiel, to Bam?
Yes, sir. Yung theme natin today, for this program, it's really about keeping Pinoy's legacy alive. And kanina nga na-mention natin yung laban sa China, yung respectable demeanor sa media, and all these projects na sana matuloy, And I think we can all agree na sana matuloy natin yung mga ganun. Yun yung best way to keep Pinoy's legacy alive. Yeah. Sir Bam, baka meron kayong mga personal na concrete ways nyo on how to do it, how to keep his legacy alive.
Well, yung pinakahugot na kanta ni Aiza, minsan ang minahal ay ako. When he let me hear it, hindi ko siya naintindihan. Because it's not an easy song to understand, di ba? Parang
musical, so it was
from Katie.
Narrative, no? Na
diba?
makalimutan to pagka umalis na sa teatro.
So nung una niyang pinarinig sa akin yun, I didn't get it. Honestly, we were gonna meet about something else. And then wala pa yung ibang ka-meeting. So sabi niya, makinig muna tayo dito sa kantan to. So I wasn't, my head wasn't there kasi I was prepared for another topic. And then when Ate Chris mentioned it nung Saturday night, na this particular Aiza Seguera song, doon lang nag-connect sa akin na, talagang favorite pala talaga niya. Akala ko pinakinig lang niya sa akin nung araw na yon. It's really his favorite. And that night, I went on YouTube, looked for nag-rabbit hole ako doon. First kay Aiza, then kay Celeste Legaspi and Mitch Valdez, then may Regine Velasquez at and then the song is Minsan ang Minahalay Ako. Minsan, no? And yun yung masakit siguro kung kay PNoy, minsan lang yung alaala natin sa kanya. Kasi admittedly for the past 4-5 years, hindi siya pinag-uusapan, binabatikos left and right. Marami sa mga, alam to of course ni Rene, a lot of the former allies ay umalis at nagkabilang bakod na at na parang walang nangyaring 2010 to 2016. So I kind of get the hugot. Gets ko yung hugot na minsan ang minahalay ako. And I think, kung meron tayo sanang pwedeng madala from this experience, sana wag lang minsan. No? Sana maalala talaga natin yung leadership niya, no, na kaya naman pala na sa ating bansa mayroong mga leader na hindi corrupt, may leader na may integridad, may dignidad, minahal yung tao, lahat binigay, na may respeto sa lahat ng tao kahit kalaban niya, no. In fact, yung isang reflection nga na in another session with other people, sabi nila, alam mo, when he said kayo ang boss ko, hindi niya ibig sabihin na yung boss niya yung mga supporters lang niya. He meant everybody ang boss niya. No? Whatever color you are, whatever party you are, whether you voted for his candidate or not, or kung you're still the boss. Kayo pa rin yung boss niya. No, ganun yung hugot niya, 'di ba? And sayang naman kung minsan lang natin siya maalala, or maybe after 1 week makakalimutan na natin ulit at babalik na naman tayo sa the toxic environment of politics in our country. Sana naman na maalala natin siya in that way na pwede naman pala, kaya naman pala na maiba, no, yung course of our country. Not that we have to go back, or not that we look at the old glories of Rome, sabi nga nila, but that we can move forward expecting something better, no? Or we can move forward na pwede ulit tayong mangarap na we want something na mas maayos, no, leaders na mas maayos sa ating bansa. Sana yun yung paraan na maalala natin siya. Na wag lang sana minsahan lang. Kasi napaka-sad naman kung after a few weeks, nakalimot na naman natin si PNoy at yung kanyang liderato.
Ganda lang na side point doon, Bam. Narinig ko rin yung mga speechwriters saying, and they know for a fact that he's communicating with Aimee even. Kasi Senator Aimee would text him about concerns dun sa area niya, and PNoy would answer. So may mga ganong points na okay pala.
Well, may kukwento ako. So, in Tarlac, they had a tribute for him, no? Yung isa nagbigay ng eulogy, yung congressman sa distrito namin sa Concepcion, si Noel Villanueva. And he was half crying nung kanyang eulogy, no? Half crying si Kong Noel. Yung kwento niya was, in 2010, he went for Villar. Okay? And he's from our hometown, So, Noel, medyo mabigat yan sa politika ko. Yung hometown mayor mo, at the time he was the mayor, would not go for you as the candidate.
Yes.
And he was so afraid. Takot na takot siya pag makita niya si PNoy kasi yung hiya nga siya and nung nakita sila, ang sabi ni PNoy, nag-sorry siya, and then sabi ni PNoy, ba't di mo ako sinuportahan? And he said, kasi po bago kayo nag-decide, nag-commit na ako. At hindi ko pwedeng talikuran yung salita ko. And according to him, si PNoy daw really appreciated that and said, at least may isa kang salita. At, nandyan pa rin yung tulong, nandyan pa rin, hindi niya binastos, hindi niya tinreten. In fact, they became even closer. And, Kong Noel Villanueva was one of the reasons why Lenny won in Tarlac. in 2016. No, that was one of the only places in North Luzon na nanalo si Lenny because Kong Noel was there to really help out. No, and that just showed to me na nung sinabi ni PNoy, kayo ang boss ko, hindi niya sinabi, ito lang grupong to yung boss ko. It was everyone, and everyone who wanted to do something for the country, welcome. Diba?
Sana all. Anyway, Engineer James Wong. James or Maxine? Ayan, James. James first. Okay, go.
Okay. Yeah, connected dun sa question ni Kiel kanina. This would just be short, no? With how we view our leaders, like for example, kayo po, Rene and Senator Bam, you work with PNoy, with how we view and value our leaders right now. And nung dati, the media was not friendly with PNoy, there are all these criticisms, and now all the good stories are now starting to come out. Is this a good culture that we may continue, or should we say na dapat we start appreciating our leaders and putting more, the good instead of looking for what is bad?
Yeah, go. Rene and Bam.
Maybe Bam can start.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Alam mo, siguro what we need really is a fair and balanced media, no? Fair, which means na hindi ka aanguluhan, kapag meron ka namang nagawang tama, ay ipagmalaki natin. And this goes not just for PNoy's administration, kahit naman sa current, no? Be fair, be balanced, but be unafraid also. Pag may nakita kang mali, i-report mo. Wag mo naman i-sensationalize kung hindi naman talaga yun ganun, di ba? And I guess maybe it's a work in progress pa siguro. I don't know. Noel might have more to share because he's really in media. How to find that balance in our media na yung tapat talaga, yung hindi pinapagrabe yung mga bagay or hindi naman at the same time naduduwag to call out things. I don't know, Noel. What do you think?
It's hard now because, ang pasabog na storya ngayon. The transmitter of ABS that was bought na by some people, so hindi na po problemahan yung franchise. But government may just have it with the entertainment of ABS. So news and current affairs will be endangered. Mahirap talaga. So we need more people in media to step up. So kakailanganin talaga natin yun. So, kung ang model natin sa states,
Hindi rin, Noel, ang Amerika medyo sablay rin ng, they have their problems.
Pero nagmatapang sila, Bam. May ganon, may nagtatanong. Maganda yung sinabi ni Vergel Santos, no? Parang, now the press cannot talk to the president. There's got to be Harry Roque there. So, kailangan natin marinig, demand ng media na, kausapin yung presidente. Yun dapat na hindi conduit, hindi yung middle person yung kakausapin. Sana may ganong time kasi tayo mismo, tayo yung hihingi ng pagkakataon na yun na kailangan natin malaman yung katotohanan. So, kailangan talaga magsalita. Well, I don't know, sir, kung paano yung tingin niyo sa media ngayon at ano yung pwede nilang role sa mga susunod na mga araw kasi kailangan yung tapang ngayong mga panahong ito. Rene, go.
Mami, I feel the pain of the fake news on PNoy, especially because we would talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Dengbaksha as an example. I got a certification from the government of Singapore that they were using Dengbaksha and it is effective in curbing dengue in Singapore, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, because PNoy would call me and say, "Pre, nasan yung record nito? Nasan yung ano nito?" Or Mary Jane, there was somebody who was claiming na they were the ones who convinced the Indonesian government not to push through with the execution and that inangkin lang daw ni PNoy. And I was half smiling when he was telling me about it. I said, Mr. President, we have all the records. We have all the records of the time of every call you made to the President of Indonesia, all my calls to the Foreign Minister. Naging kaibigan na nga namin yung Foreign Minister doon dahil kinukulit namin. And I would have expected na ilabas, but then PNoy would say, even if we say it, if the people are not tuned to listening to it, then maybe it's not going to make that good an effect, right? My view naman, I agree with you guys, but I also feel bad about, do you know why PNoy puts so much into education? Why you can check the records.
That's
Who
true.
built the most number of classrooms, who hired the most number of teachers, who bought the most number of books. Yan lang, one book per student. Akala mo simple lang yan. Oh my God. We may have had the money, but the printing press couldn't produce the books. That's why we had to capacitate and stuff like that, diba? Pinoy had I had a slide that I did because of his point. He said education is an empowering mechanism. And his line was, we need to enlarge the people's choices. And not just about politics, people's choices to life, to work, to yung ganon. Kaya the whole framework of the HDPR, Human Development Poverty Reduction Framework, was centerpiece, education, tsaka health. Kasi when somebody gets sick, people get poor. But the other reason why PNoy pushed education so much was because so that people would be better prepared to make choices and decisions, including the political decisions. He said a well-educated person will be able to make the right choices. And ako naman, my own aspiration is, sana we learn to be more discerning.
Yeah.
Just because, I'll tell you a story. I was talking to my driver in the office. We were talking about this fake news and all that. I said, pag ikaw ba narinig mo na ginugulpi ko yung asawa ko, maniniwala ka? Sabi niya, hindi sir. Bakit? Siyempre, kilala kita sir. Kilala mo ko yung asawa niyo. Alam, nakikita ko kayo. So, sabi ko, yan ang problema sa fake news. Pag nakinig ka tapos tinanggap mo, at dahil 200 people said na I do this, you will believe it. Problema yun, di ba? And you know, after that conversation, that driver every now and then would always tell me, ayan sir, fake news na naman. And so, PNoy is passing away. Yes, we all aspire something good can happen. I'm sorry, I'm not a politician. I've never been equipped. I have no knowledge. I am far from being an expert in politics or anything like that. I'm looking at it more in the perspective, really. Sana the Filipino people will be more discerning and saying, when I hear something, when I get something on social media, and Bam rightfully already said, there is already a certain amount of maturity compared to how it was years ago. Now people are more able to think through whether is this real or is this not. Just because it came out in a nice format doesn't make it real, diba? So,
and thank you to Ateneo. Thank you to Ateneo. They're setting up their own survey system already and those things. So sana mapagpatuloy yung ganon, sir.
Anyway, that's the one that will create a lasting and a sustainable impact. Regardless of how technology goes, because technology will continue to shift. Our lives will continue to be, will continue to evolve around all this hyper stuff happening all over our world. It's really going to be about the end of the day is, can we just at least pause for a while and ask ourselves and discern, is this logical? Is this...
Yeah, no? That gift of discernment. Maxine has a question. Max.
Hello. First, I'd like to say good afternoon because I just came straight from class. So, hello, Sir Bam, Aquino, and Secretary Rene. It's nice to see you here today. So, in the past week, a lot of stories have been coming out about how former President Noy helped or reached out to people, whether big or small. These things all became unforgettable to them. And in the past week, we've also been hearing more stories than ever about not only him as president, but also as an uncle, a friend, a sibling. With that being said, is there anything in his life that touched you or somehow made an impact on you, whether personal or in your work or advocacies?
I'll start.
Okay.
In my most difficult moments, he was there.
Okay.
We have this joke, and Senator Bam knows that, walang iwanan. We normally say that pagdating ng kainan because pag may late, PNoy will always want to wait for the person to arrive before we start eating. So pag siya matagal, because may meeting na siya, nag-cheating kami, medyo tumitira na ng chicharon here and there and all that. Tapos biglang dadating siya. Oh, akala ko ba walang iwanan? Okay. Yes, the reason why I considered him a very good friend was he was there in those really difficult times for me. He would, and he made himself, and not just me, all his friends. He was a very loyal friend. And some people will say to a fault, but that was because he also appreciated loyalty, and he was true to form on that point.
Kulang na muna sa mga ganyan loyalty yung mga tao ngayon. Bam!
Well, Maxine, he believed in me. No, he believed in me enough to make me a senator. I mean, I'll be very blunt about it. No, alam ko na when that idea came up in 2012, he wasn't all for it initially because si PNoy sobrang proper niyan, no. Pero siguro kasi hindi naman ako immediate family. I'm a little bit removed. We had a couple of conversations about it, about why I wanted to serve, what ideas I had that I wanted to do. And he listened, he took it seriously. Initially, he was, may konting resistance yan nung una. And then I didn't hear from him about this topic for a few months. Matagal. And then, end of September, he called. Actually, Mark called and then sabi niya, oh, why don't you come to Malaking, usap kami. And he said, okay, you have a slot in the Senate race. And from there, he supported me all throughout. No, he would give me advice. Ano kasi, yung relationship kasi namin, hindi kami parang si Rene tsaka si PNoy kasi they're friends, they're peers. I'm 17 years younger than him. So para akong maybe like a younger brother he never had. No, so he always gave me advice. Laging magpapasabi yan. When I needed advice, I could go and set a meeting and he would grant it. That's not easy, of course, when you're president. It's not easy just to go and see him. And even after he stepped down, I would also always get advice from him. He was extremely supportive. And narinig ko nga yung mga speechwriters kanina kasi in many ways, di naman malayo yung edad ko sa kanila. Maybe it was also his way of saying now itong next generation, give them a chance to also serve. So he believed in me. Never ako nakatikim ng napagalitan ako. Honestly, never nangyari yun sa akin. We would debate about certain things. There were certain things na he wasn't sure about that I wanted to do, a bill or, a particular policy. And mag-uusap kami. And he would, say his perspective. I would say my perspective. Usually we would come to an agreement in one way or the other. But he never did mas matanda ako sa'yo or ako presidente. Therefore, tumahimik ka na lang, makinig ka na lang. He never did that. He always, gave me that space to also figure things out on my own. And, that support was there all the way. Every day that I served in the public, it was there even after. Kahit tong wala na ako sa public service, nandun pa rin yung suporta niya. And that's an intense feeling, Maxine, when someone believes in you enough to really help you move along, diba? I mean, that's really something na, malalim sa akin yun. And that's something I'll always be grateful for kay PNoy.
If I may be allowed to, Noel, if I may be allowed to add something, because this is going to segue to that. Bam, it's not that he was against you in the beginning. It's just that, there were, it was a very long list of people who wanted to run for Senate.
Exactly.
And then the party had to make a decision. He just didn't want people to feel that just because you were related, he was going to go push all out for you.
Yeah,
and exactly. I will tell you this, in the 2019 senatorial election, there was somebody suggested to him, because I was there in Times at that time. There was a meeting and he called me and said, "Pare, sama mo ako." And somebody suggested, Mr. President, nothing prohibits you from running for Senate. And maybe it would be good for you to be in the Senate so that you can make the noise and people will listen and all that and all that. And he said, I'll give you one good reason why I will not do that. He says, because Bam is there and I think Bam will do a better job at it than I can. So he really believed in you.
Iyakan na tayo dito nag-iiyakan tayo dito.
Kaya yun kasi, well, Sir, Bam, I want you to answer this. What were his words when you lost the elections? Because I know it meant a lot to you too. And parang the people who knew you felt you during that time.
Alam mo, that's interesting. I don't recall. I don't recall talking to him about it. Honestly, I don't recall talking to him about it. I know I visited him after, nagpasalamat ako. Pero it really escapes me right now. I don't know, baka si Rene had some idea about after the 2019 senatorial, but
because he could have been the only one na pinakamalapit, sir, dun sa sa Magic Circle eh.
Definitely, but
hindi lang dinainan sa Mindanao, and we
know, we know, alam na yung kwento nila. Wag na nating ulitin pa, okay na.
Pero some party mates like also putting him down.
Ako, Bam, tinawagan niya ako, Bam.
Okay.
Tinawagan niya ako the night of the election. Sabi niya, kumusta si Bam dyan sa Cebu?
Okay.
Wag na natin kalkalin yung mga ikwento, Gedowell. Wag na natin kalkalin pa. Pero, but ito the support, the advice, the love, before going to the Senate, during, after, hindi naman nag-iba eh. Kaya parang hindi ko maalala na meron kaming mabigat na conversation or anything like that.
Parang nag-life goes on na lang after.
Yeah, well, also because that's how I also saw it na, okay, maybe not for me now, so move on tayo. I don't recall having a very deep conversation about him. One conversation I remember though is nung 2010, tumawag siya. And he might have been in Zamboanga at this time. And he called and he said, ikaw daw isa sa mga nag-organize na patakbuhin ako Sabi niya ganyan. Akala ko pagagalitan ako. Honestly, I thought he would be angry. Sabi ko, Kuya Noy, yes, isa ako sa mga nag-organize. Bakit? Sabi niya ganyan, bakit? You really think I should go for it? Sabi ko, yes, I think you should go for it. I think ikaw yung hinahanap ng tao ngayon. And, I think after that conversation, we became a lot closer. Again, Noel, growing up, he is much older than me. So hindi kami peers. No? I was always like the younger kids, mga pinsan. But I think after that, and then helping him rin dun sa 2010 campaign and eventually going to the Senate, that really made us much closer. I would even say we became even closer when he stepped down from the presidency because I had more time to see him. And more time na makipagkwentuhan ng, 3 hours o 4 hours? O 7 hours yung mga kwentuhan session doon. Well, you have to block off the whole day kung magkwentuhan kayo kasi buong araw na yan. At aabot pa kayo sa geopolitics at history.
Problema pag walang pamilya. Theo, shoot your question and a lesson next before we wrap up.
Yeah, sure. Oh, wow, wait, sorry, all of a sudden. So, good afternoon po, Sir Bam and Sir Rene. I think kasi for me at least, I think one of the biggest parts of PNoy's legacy talaga was the yung ruling towards like in favor of us sa West Philippine Sea. How can we as students and more importantly then as citizens parang uphold that that ruling that was in favor of us? Kasi how do I put this? Parang yun nga, it tends to be questioned, that ruling, even though it's already been clear na the West Philippine Sea is ours. How do we fight for that?
Well, ako unang-una, I don't think it's questioned. Magtanong ka sa kahit sino mang Pilipino, tanungin mo, yung teritoryong yan sa China ba o sa Pilipinas? I doubt anybody will say, sa China po yan. I think all Filipinos will say, sa atin yan. No, I doubt there will be anybody, whether you're a fisherman in that area or you work here in Ortigas or Makati in NCR. No one will say yes, that actually belongs to China. Sa kanila na yan. No. So I think tanggap ng mga Pilipino na sa atin yung lupang yan. I think what we need to do is we be more vocal na ipaglaban naman yan. Ipaglaban naman natin yan. To be fair, yung AFP natin, they're very serious about that territory na sa Pilipinas yan. A number of people on different sides of the political fence are very clear sa kanila na sa atin yung teritoryong yan. But if there are moments that maybe nag-iiba yung polisiya, nag-iiba yung statement, we should be quick to say, hindi, atin ang teritoryong yan at wag tayong papayag na, na hindi yan mapasa atin, di ba? So, admittedly, malayo yung international tribunal, but, if we keep up the political pressure, if we speak out, anytime that there is even kahit may konting hint na hindi dapat atin yan or wala na tayong magagawa dyan, we should speak out. And the more that there's pressure there, I think the more that government will have to respond and do the work needed to make sure that that case goes to fruition talaga.
Ganun ngayon, di ba? Kailangan i-call out para may ibang aksyon. No? So, yun, kailangan natin magsalita. Alessa, go. Your question.
Hello, good afternoon. This is for the both of you guys. I just want to ask, what would you say is the most memorable lesson learned from PNoy? Either a personal lesson or like something you learned while he was president?
If I can start on that one. I was actually asked that question in another interview. And my reply was yung para sa bayan. Many a times, I would have walked out the room and said, and many a times he would call me out and said, para sa bayan, di ba? I think serving under him in Malacanang, which I never dreamed I would ever do, the greatest lesson was really love of country. I mean, every single day, every paper we have to read and we analyze everything. At the end of the day, I know it sounds corny, but those words, yung para sa bayan, they mean really a lot. I mean, I can show you documents of how you translate para sa bayan into real practical things, whether it's a budget release here or a new program here or a policy decision that is very controversial that half the country will not like or the other half will like. At the end of the day, that to me was the greatest lesson to him. And I admire his determination talaga. I said it, in some of those moments, I would have said, bahala kayo, alis na ako. Maybe I'll migrate na lang, look for another place to go to. But no, he pointed it back na para sa bayan, di ba? Ito para sa bayan. And I think the cabinet members, at least those in our batch, we paid those words, we paid for with blood, sweat, and tears, literally. I mean, I'm not trying to, hindi ako nagtataas ng bangko, but that it was tough. It was not easy.
Kailan? Para sa bayan. Bam?
So ako, 3 quick things. The Christmas party after he stepped down. So Christmas party ng mga Aquino, we have that every year. So mga pinsan, ganyan. And I introduced him. And sabi ko, boss, dahil mahilig ka sa kanta, yung kantang naalala ko, yung may line doon, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And by the way, the title of that song is Big Yellow Taxi. So, swak na swak, di ba? Big Yellow Taxi. You don't know what you have till it's gone. And that's just a little sad also. It's more than just Pinoy. It's a lot of things around us. Maraming nagbago sa pandemya. We don't know what you have till it's gone. And one of my regrets is, dapat nung linggo, nung sinabi niyang, sige, bumisita ka, I should have gone there nung Monday. And just forced my way through and said, okay, I'll be there tomorrow at 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock and I'll see you there. But, nag-hedge pa ako na, maybe in a week, ganyan, I'll see you pagpunta ni Miguel and whatever. So yun, that's number 1. Number 2 is, yung kayo ang boss ko, yung tiwala niya sa taong bayan. Grabe yung tiwala niya sa taong bayan. He genuinely believed na we'll figure it out. Yes, we need good leaders, but the Filipino people will figure it out. Taong bayan, alam nila, in the end, alam nila yung katotohanan, in the end, alam nila yung mabuti para sa kanila, in the end, magtiwala tayo sa kanila. And a lot of people are despairing now, no? Maraming akong kilala who have migrated, who have given up on politics, who have given up on even watching the news, ha? Ganun na sila ka-give up, ayaw na nilang panoorin yung balita. But the thought that the Filipino people, yung tiwala sa kanila na we can get out of this together also, yung paniniwala ng Pinoy sa taong bayan, yun siguro that flies in the face of everybody despairing, no? Magka-hope tayo sa isa't isa. Not in a leader again to, to a messiah figure to get us out of our troubles. No. But yung taong bayan mismo yung maghahanap ng paraan para mag-improve yung ating bansa. And siguro the third thing really kay Pinoy, and every day nagbabago-bago rin yung mga learnings ko about Pinoy is medyo I was trying to analyze bakit ba ang lungkot-lungkot nating lahat? Ba't ang lungkot-lungkot? Grabe yung lungkot eh. And hindi lang to yung mga taong nakatrabaho niya o kamag-anak niya. Grabe yung lungkot ng mga tao. And I think it's because nung namatay siya, marami sa mga ginusto niya para sa bayan nawala.
That's true.
Marami sa mga tinrabaho niya dinismantle, no? And it's really quite biblical. It's quite biblical, no? Moses never saw the promised land, even though ang rami niyang 40 days, 40 nights, Exodus, all of that, or, it's very biblical. And I guess yung point nun is the ball's in our court, no? Si Pinoy took us this far, and he's saying, oh, mga Pilipino, if you want to go the next step, and I really believe, Noel, we're at a crossroads in our country. If you want to go the right way, if you want to go towards a place where na mas maayos, mas maganda, the ball's in your court. Kayo na yung magde-decide niyan. It's in your hands right now. And, more and more, yun yung parang mas malalim na realization ko na, he has done his part. He has done his part. And now he's passing the baton to the Filipino people and saying, lahat na magagawa ko, nagawa ko na. Kayo naman, di ba?
Ayun, parang sinasabi, parang if we don't learn as a people, we continue to suffer. Bago lang tayo magtapos, Sec Rene, can you tell us what suffering Pinoy had to go through bago siya talaga namatay nung Thursday? Kasi kayo yung nandun. Ikaw lang kaya ating pwedeng.
I mean, it wasn't just Thursday. Clearly, he was not comfortable physically. There were pains in certain places. There was discomfort. There were challenges. So,
but you thought it was time to go? Well, naisip niyo po ba 'yon? Hindi talaga.
No.
Biglaan talaga.
And I don't think he did. I was talking to his secretary who used to work for me in the palace. Na sabi niya, sir, ang dami pa niyang instructions the day before, Wednesday. Yung gulong ng kotse, yung tinawag pa niya, ilista mo to, kailangan gawin ito bukas. And I told you the story, 12:20 that night, he was texting, a friend was going to go to the States, nagpapabili ng yung kanyang favorite na lifesaver, na flavor. At by the way, when I meant 57, I did not mean a gun, hindi siya nagpapabili ng yung pinapabili niya, Heinz 57, yung steak sauce na gustong-gusto natin. Okay, that's what, yun ang bilin niya na yung lifesaver na candy at saka yung Heinz 57, hindi po baril yung 57. Okay. So, no, as I said, he wasn't well because yung text nga niya could be better and he was down. He was, physically kasi yung activities niya, malalaman din namin kung gumagalaw siya, pumupunta siya sa music room or hindi, and so on and so forth. No? So he was physically, tired. I think that would be the best description.
Pero sir, ano yung bilin na gusto niyang ituloy ng mga tao? Meron ba siyang mga ganon? Yung ano yung sana magawa pa niya or gusto niyang mangyari pa? Na nasabi na people can carry on?
I don't know, Bam, would you be in a better position?
Like, kunyari, well, is there any other projects? Of course, he wanted Laila de Lima out of jail. May mga ganun bang mga sana niya?
marami siyang gusto, Noel, no? Not necessarily like yung conversations ko with him were after he stepped down.
Yeah.
Not during the last couple of months, no,
Yeah.
during the pandemic, but he always had that concern for our country. China was a
Yeah.
big issue sa kanya, yung welfare ng mga tao, yung poverty reduction was a big issue sa kanya. Why people seem to be so quiet now and so
That's true.
cowed into fear now, no? Was a big issue sa kanya, no? Kapag may nakikitang mali, bakit hindi ganun karami yung nagsasalita? Yun yung mga issues niya na pag-uusapan namin, no, during the time that he had stepped down already.
So, Alessa, one round lang ng mga tao nandito sa Zoom. Alessa, when you say salamat Pinoy, thank you for what? Yeah.
Thank you for all the lessons and the effort put into everything. Really.
Tio?
Thank you, PNoy, for standing for your people and for fighting for them. As you have said, the Filipino is worth fighting for, and you've shown it all the time during the presidency.
James?
Thank you, PNoy, for making us realize that we have still fellow Filipinos who could be good statesmen and good role models in government.
Max?
Thank you, Pinoy, for not only leading the country but also trusting its citizens.
Kel?
Salamat Pinoy sa pag-inspire sa mga kabataan, lalo na sa mga millennials ngayon, no? Yung mga kabataan ng panahon nyo, tulad ng mga speechwriters kanina. Sila yung mga nag-inspire din naman sa generation namin and sa mga susunod na yung mga generations after us na rin ng youth, no, na mag-lead din, na mag-serve sa kanya-kanyang mga student governments until sa mag-serve sa government mismo pagka-graduate. Salamat po. Salamat sa ganung ipinakita ninyo.
JB? Yeah.
Salamat Pinoy for showing us that government can be a force for good.
That's true. Well, I'll say my thank you and then I'll let si Sec Rene and Bam close this. Let Pinoy's legacy be a challenge for public servants and the Filipinos today. Sabi ko nga, ang pagkamatay ni Pinoy ay nagpapaalala sa atin kung ano ang nasayang, ano yung pinangarap natin at ano yung pinagtitiisan natin ngayon. Ang hamon nito ay para patuloy tayong kumilos at magkaisa para gawing mas mahusay, masaya, mabuti ang kalagayan natin kaysa ngayon. Secretary Rene, finish this with your wisdom.
Oh, I said, I'll follow your point about salamat Pinoy for the years of friendship, the trust, and thank you for stretching me in para sa bayan. No regrets, boss. Bugbog sarado, gulpi ako, pero no regrets. You really stretched me.
Tuloy ang buhay. Yeah, Bam?
Salamat Pinoy sa walang sawang tiwala sa taong bayan.
So yun, at yun, hindi tayo magsasawang magpasalamat sa kanya. Sinasabi ko kay Bam, the group of yung organisasyon ng Pilipino mga awit and his friends from the industry celebrating yung meron siyang linggo ng musikang Pilipino. At nataon yon dun sa last week ng July. So itataon natin yon bilang alternative SONA. So it will be on July 26. Radyo-Katipunan will be carrying it and we're having a meeting tomorrow. Parang lahat ng mga tao, sir, kasama yung bukas palad at saka yung sinasabi mong mga paboritong mga performers. So yun, it will be our alternative SONA pero yun parang pasasalamat sa kanya sa pamamagitan ng musika. Una, yun yung pang decompress natin, pang pawala ng lungkot. Pero yun, siguro isang magandang pagtanaw dun sa susunod kasi mahirap at marami pa tayong kailangan gawin. So maraming salamat sa pagle-level up natin at yun, hindi po namin kakalimutang magpasalamat at balikan yung legacy ni Pinoy. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Thank you, Bam. Thank you, Sec Rene. Thank you, JB.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Salamat.
Thank you, Senator Bam. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Salamat po sa lahat.
Yeah. See you next week for another episode of Level Up. Thank you po. Maraming salamat.
kailanman mapipigilan pagbuhos ng ulan. Ang buhay sadyang ganyan.
At kaya ng papago-bagong pag-ihip ng hangin. Lahat ay lilipas at magsasalita.
Huwag kang mabahala, huwag mataranta. Hindi kailangan ang mag-alilangan pa.
Isipin mo laging nandito lamang ang aking balikat, sa'yo'y nakaabang.
Asahan mo, hindi ka iiwan sa mundo. Lahat may hangganan, asahan mo. Wala nang atrasan sa iyong bawat hakbang na pupuntahan. Pangako kailanman, agad akong nandyan. Sang tawag mo
Tuwing nagdidilim ang langit, di ba't nagpapakita ang buwan? Hanggang mag-umaga na naman.
Tara't hintayin na natin
Sikat ang iyong araw
hanggang sa magliwanag muli ang lahat. Asahan mo, hindi ka iiwan sa mundo. Lahat may hangganan, asahan mo. Wala nang atrasan sa iyong bawat hakbang na pupuntahan. Pangako kailanman, agad akong nandyan. Sang tawag mo asahan mo, hindi ka iiwan sa mundo. Lahat may hangganan, asahan mo. Wala nang atrasan sa iyong bawat hakbang na pupuntahan. Pangako kailanman, agad akong nandyan. Sang tawag mo sang tawag mo
All caps, mga Atenista! It's time to level up! Your talk variety program showcasing the best in media and other fields. As we feature the most loved personalities and the best practices of what we truly refer to as Magis. Together with multi-awarded multimedia guru Mr. Noel Ferrer, let's all level up every Fridays from 3 to 6 p.m. here on radyo-katipunan 87.9 FM. Radyo-katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo-katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo-katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.